What is up, YouTube? My Cowboys family here, bringing you guys the latest update on our very own Dallas Cowboys. And of course, as always, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Take a second to hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow us on all social media at MyCowboysFamily, and of course, hop in the Discord, link for that's in the description box down below.
A brand new week after a horrible damn loss against the Bills yesterday. We're going to talk about that. We're going to recap the game. We're going to rant about it a little bit.
We're going to talk about what happened tonight, guys.
There was a little news to be updated upon when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles and what's going on in the NFC East. So we'll discuss that and so much more here tonight. It's not all going to be good, but we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly here in My Cowboys Family. And let's get to the good, which is the family members here repping this channel here, this new week, kicking off a fresh new week. And a lot of a lot of fresh faces, a lot of the same old faces. And we know who we're talking about here because it is the man staying skeptical. Skeptical fan, who is our official sponsor of that week.
And guess what? He's not just your sponsor. Actually, he's
just like Jason Renfro, right?
I was just about to say that. Just like Jason Renfro the week before, he's not just a sponsor of the week. He's also the membership gifting king.
Yes, much love, the skeptical fan. Appreciate him repping that navy blue, silver, and star for everything. And always, you got to do that with the Cowboys. You always got to stay skeptical. Remember that.
Always.
Don't forget, Jason Renfro still on the board, though. He's got 41 points on the Stream Boss. Holding on to that, hanging on to that in the code red area, but he's still controlling it with 41 points. He took it over yesterday. And Stanley Smith, 3 out of the last 5 weeks, the man is dominating the Cash App board. Stanley Smith back-to-back as the Cash App king, like our 90s Cowboys. Hell yeah. Ooh. We also got to shout out, though, a couple of people here that are repping the board right now. Like, again, we had some drops yesterday from a MCF After Dark fun that we have here sometimes on My Cowboys Family, and we had some people drop a little love in those areas, mostly on the I guess you could say the Cash App board, which also of course equals the overall board here on MCF. So last night we had a couple people drop in here, like Jason Renfro dropping about 23 plus in the Cash App for a little drinking, post stream MCF After Dark, drinking, drink off, let's just say. All right. So we did some of that yesterday. Much love to Jason Renfro, but he is not the leader. We also had Smokey, by the way, JR. Much love to him. He also dropped $10 in the Cash App, but they're not the leaders this week on the overall board and the Cash App board. The leader in the Cash App side and the overall board, David Lara, Big D in the place to be. He dropped it in the thanks button side of things. So big thanks goes out to him as he is in first place on the overall board and the Cash App board. Big time appreciation. David Lara, old school, right? But his name now is Big D.
Big D.
And he's representing in that membership. He's representing on the Cash App board. He's representing on the overall board. Kicking off a new week. He's in first place. As you see, Jason Renfro in second there, Smokey in fourth. But who's in third? Bobby Bottles. Much love to him. He jumped to that silver level membership pre-stream. So he's in third place currently on the overall board. And those are the updates right now. As I just said, there's super chats. There's the thanks button. There you can jump in the membership like Bobby Bottles.
There's membership gifting.
The membership gifting, which right now that board is, even though Skeptical is the king, there is nobody leading this. That's the only spot really no one's in the lead there, right? Yeah, brand new week. Just started right now, basically. So no one leading in the gifting board. But much love to everybody on the other boards that are controlling it, representing it, and in the lead in it right now. But there's other ways to drop the love, not just the thanks button, the gifting membership, jumping into that, and the super chats. There's also 4 ways in the Cash App you can drop some love. And baby, what are those 4 ways?
Of course, you have the Cash App money sign My Cowboys Family, the Venmo at My-Cowboys-Family, the regular PayPal link, and last but not least, that Streamlabs link. It lets your comment show up on screen just like a super chat.
Many ways to help the channel out, guys. Appreciate everybody who does it in any way they do. Like this way right here, Bobby Bottles. Not just on the board in third place, but in first place on the gifting membership board.
And you know why he's
Big
here.
Shout out to him.
Congrats to Snug X for getting that membership.
You know why Snug's here. He's in that navy blue now. Back in that again with the gifted membership from Bobby Bottles.
And you know why Bobby Bottles is here.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for hanging with us. Appreciate that.
They're all repping that star for everything. Appreciate him. Congrats to Snug X. Much love to Bobby as he gets closer to second place, up a little bit on that third place spot on the overall board. So I just wanted to drop that in there, and we're going to get into a lot of information about our Cowboys. Of course, we got a little pre-information on the Eagles game that went down. We're going to start off with that. But
yes, the Cowboy-adjacent news today is, I think, extra impactful. Not surprising, obviously. We're in December, heading into that final week of the regular season as far as January and all that stuff.
Last month or last 3 weeks of this thing.
So pretty much all the adjacent news is going to probably be more impactful in an overall sense.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, look who's impacting the board now. Mr. Billy Scott, Tennessee Titan fan. He's repping it here with MCF. After dark, anytime. He's always around. Much love to Billy Scott dropping that $5 holler. Kicking off the super chat this week. What did he say, baby?
Cheers and always #tighten up.
Always go Cowboys.
No. I said tighten up. We got to tighten up. We got to,
Cowboys better tighten up. Because if they play like this, they're giving away every chance they get to win this division. They're giving it all away. So let's tighten up. The Cowboy style, not Tennessee style, But much love, Billy Scott, Tennessee Titan fan, with Mr. Titan Anderson and the crew over there. Much love to them. And go Cowboys, as I always like to say. So, baby, outside of that, we can also represent the star and over everything level members. Because we got the navy blue crew, the silver level 2. But then we got the top shelf, star level, and over everything membership crew. And they get the nightly shout-outs here in My Cowboys Family because they rep the sponsorship here pretty much every week. So, baby, who are the star level and over everything level members?
Thank you very much to Skeptical Fan, Jason Renfro, Lincoln Kane, Mary Alvarez, Andy Potch, Marissa Sparkle, Dwayne Broussard, the top dog, The Lunatic, and over everything, Mr. C. Bass.
He's in that over everything. He'll be on this show here one time here in the next couple of weeks, sooner than later, I think. So much love to Mr. C. Bass and everybody else in that crew. I mean, you sure heard a lot of names specifically Mr. Jason Renfro, 36 points in the stream boss right now, sponsor of the week and membership gifter, Skeptical Fan, and many more on that list. Mary Alvarez and others. Thank you guys for dropping the love, supporting the channel. In the membership side of things, with all the perks that are also attached to that. Now, big congrats, by the way. Another congrats to Skeptical Fan for winning the jersey from that star level membership that we just did yesterday. Unfortunately, we couldn't win the game, but at least we got one winner in here, and that's Skeptical Fan. So I appreciate him again. He took it all down this week. So we'll see how this past week. We'll see how this week goes as he represents the board, and we head to Miami. So, anyways. Who's in the house, baby? Because we're about to break this thing open and talk Cowboy football and every Cowboy relative thing that we got to discuss about that navy blue, silver, and star.
That's right. So shout out to Rolando Rodriguez in the house, Dwayne Broussard, the top dog himself. I love it. Drop those emojis, guys. 808 Cowboy, what's up? C Bass, much love. Who, by the way, has been making sure that the Eagles are fully plucked right now and feeling every feather. Yeah,
I'll have to update those emojis tomorrow.
No, of course. Yeah, I mean, guys, we
just don't drop the bill emojis. They whipped our ass.
Justin D, Tokyo, much love. Who Tokyo said, "Didn't I say that the Eagles would lose the Seahawks?" I will say, you're one of the handful of people who are definitely more adamant about that in the chat.
You remember that? And we do our little picks behind the scenes. Our weekly pick straight up. I picked Seattle in this game. I had a feeling they were going to win, and man, what a game that was to finish off. I would have been much happier if our Cowboys would have handled business yesterday in Buffalo, though.
Agree. So Retro Scotty, what's up? We have James Brady in the house, of course. Billy Scott, Snug X. Let's see, Bobby Bottles, much love. Ricardo Lewis, Daniel Berry Sports, Lost in Translation, Juan Carlos. Justin D in the place to be. Julian Smith, what's up? We have, of course, the man C. Bass, Rich Mix. Thanks for coming through. Bobby Bottles in the house, much love. I'm just trying to roll back, make sure I didn't miss anybody. Mike Aldana, C. Bass, Fuego. Alright, that's about as far back as I can go, at least on my side, because you guys have been killing it here. Roy Strassner. Much love to you, Dustin Roberts, even Motor City Maniac in the house here
Motor
as well.
City in the house. Hey, we might have scared away Freedom First. I didn't hear his name. So, let's get rolling here. Because Motor City has interest in this if you're a Detroit fan and everything that went down today with the Eagles and Seattle game. But first, let me just start with some quick NFL news. internationally speaking here, next year's Brazil's game, that game in Brazil that's going to be in 2024, right now they're saying could land in week 1 of the season. That's crazy. Who's going to give up a home game week 1 to go to Brazil? So again, that's what's looking at, say, that's what the September calendar looks like. If they do week 1, the game will be played on Friday or Saturday, not a Thursday. Again, I mean, not a Sunday or a Thursday. Let me put it that way. It would be a Friday or a Saturday.
Some weird in between.
Yep. Now, the NFL is officially suspending former Cowboy, current Steelers safety, DeMonte Casey, without pay for the remainder of the regular season.
Yeah.
And also for any potential postseason games for repeated violations of these playing rules that are intended to protect the health and safety of the players. He dove at one of the Colts receivers, and they went head-to-head, but he, just launched into him. That's the key there that really keeps these guys in the longer suspensions. So former Cowboy free safety DeMonte Casey, not really very good with us, but trying to hang in there with the Steelers, not doing good there either, and now out for the rest of the season, even if they make the playoffs, which they won't. But again, they will be
unfortunate all the way around.
Yeah, he's out for the year basically. Yeah. So, anyways, going to another team in the AFC. Jamar Chase, and then superstar Jamar Chase probably will miss some time after an MRI showed that he separated his shoulder. And the expectation he's going to be sidelined for not just this week's game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but also could extend a couple more weeks after that. So that's something to keep an eye on for Jamar Chase and the Bengals. And finally, before we get to the game tonight, the Los Angeles Chargers, of course, offensively now led by Kellen Moore, I guess, signed Will Grier. Quarterback Will Grier, former Cowboy, worked with Kellen Moore there for a year and a half, signed off the Patriots practice squad to the Chargers 53-man roster. The first significant move by the new interim GM JoJo Wooden, and a corresponding move. This is interesting. The Chargers then they waived quarterback Max Duggan. If you remember in this draft, the Cowboys were interested in Max Duggan. Yeah. So now he's a former TCU star right there next to Dallas. They wanted him. Now he's a free agent. Will the Cowboys let him go through waivers and maybe make a move for him then? Because what I'm hearing is the Chargers want him back on the practice squad.
Okay.
So you'd have to pluck him off, put him on your 53. He ain't doing that in Dallas. So it looks like he's going to either choose to sign in Dallas on his own or go back to the practice squad in Los Angeles with the Chargers. We'll see what happens. If he clears waivers, which he will. He should clear waivers. So, anyways, that's the update there, NFL-wise. Let's now get into the NFL Cowboy news. Tonight's game, yes, the Eagles. And, we're gonna troll the Eagles a little. They've been talking a lot of shit the last 24 hours, these Eagles, But now we get to talk a little bit of shit back. Again, we take it all with a grain of salt because, again, they still have tiebreaker if they win out this season. But Luke can still say, cry, Eagles, cry. Fuck Philly. Fuck the Eagles. 5 is always greater than 1. Let me remind them for that. So here's what happened, guys. Drew Lock, late touchdown pass, rallies the Seattle Seahawks to a Monday Night Football victory, Monday Night Football win over the Eagles, who now lost 3 in a row. Drew Lock, 29-yard touchdown pass to rookie Jackson Smith and JSN, with 28 seconds left to play. They had to start from their own 8-yard line on that last drive with one timeout and a minute something left, right? A minute and 50 seconds, something like that. 92-yard drive. Capped it with that touchdown. A stunned Eagle team in disbelief lost 20-17 tonight, ending a 4-game losing skid for the Seattle Seahawks, but continuing a 3-game skid for the Eagles. Of course, who did they play before? They lost to the Niners. They lost to us. And now they lost to Seattle. 3 in a row losses for the Eagles sliding. So, well, we would have been catching it. We would have been passing them up if we had won yesterday. So, but no, I'm saying that
I don't know what that has to do with my little comment. I was trying to say 3 in a row.
Yeah, no, nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with the comment, baby. It has to do with the fact that Seattle, we're catching up, but, we're catching up. Not really. It's more like we had a chance to. We already caught up last week. We wanted to pass them this week, and we couldn't. So, we're still in the same spot as we were last week. Now, let me just go back for a second. The Seattle Seahawks now 7-7. That's important for the Cowboys. I'll explain why in tiebreaker. You guys, I know you're asking questions about tiebreaker. I'll explain it to you in a minute. It is crazy. I talked to my brother who's a tiebreaker expert in this, and I'll let you know. I'll try to answer your questions, guys. I'll do my best. But Seattle, they rallied behind their backup quarterback. Remember, backup quarterback just beat this Eagle defense here. Moved the team the length of the field for their longest touchdown drive of the season for Seattle. In the whole season. The whole season was on the line for them. If they lost this game, they're out of the playoffs. Now they're back in the mix, on the longest drive of the year they had for the capping winning score. So you got to give Seattle credit, especially after we hurt Geno Smith, and now they had to have their backup, Drew Lock, come back and win this game against the Eagles. So again, this is definitely the biggest play by the young rookie, what's his name, JSN, in his young career right now. Biggest catch of his career in the NFL. Now, let me just add another thing here, because this is where now let's get to where it comes into the Cowboy situation. The Cowboys and Eagles are both tied with 3 conference losses each. This loss gives each team 3 conference losses. That's one of the tiebreakers. So now we're tied there. If we get to that tiebreaker, we go to the next tiebreaker. The Eagles are still in control, though. Remember that, guys. The Eagles are still in control if we end up tied. And the reason is that, it's a big moment in the division race to disrupt the divisional tiebreakers. That's the thing, guys. And that's divisional. This loss of the Eagles, not just a loss that keeps us, behind, tied with them, but it also it fucks up the tiebreakers that the Eagles had on us. And they still have them. It's just not as many tiebreakers now because of that.
So, and again, things get a little bit tricky just because, you kind of have to end up moving down the list of, okay, so then who actually does win things, who actually wins the division, if we win out or if they win out or however the heck it goes,
there's a couple
right?
different...
Because now, like you said, the circumstances have changed now that Seattle beat Philly. And, of course, now that we also took our L this Sunday.
Yeah, everything changes, but I got the updates for you guys. Don't worry.
Yeah,
so,
Mr. FCF actually put in some extra effort to figure out some of this information.
I talked to the brother here a little while ago here after the game ended. So, listen, guys, you gotta consider this. Right now, the Eagles are still in control, but the tiebreakers are now a little more up in the air. Consider that this loss loss by the Eagles against Seattle now offsets Dallas's loss. We had everything. What we didn't have tiebreaker. A lot of the reasons in the conference because we lost to Arizona. But that loss to Arizona, and I'll just show you like this. That loss to Arizona now has been. It's kind of equaled out now. Neutralized because in the same division against the Seahawks, and by the way, the Seahawks are better than the Cardinals, which gives us also strength of schedule, better than the Eagles. They beat a worse team than we did. Right? We lost to the worst team, but we beat the better team. So that's a big kind of switch around in the tie-breaking situation, in the tie-breaking, some tiebreakers. I'll put it that way. So that's one of the best things that came out of this game, outside of us just staying right there with them. The Eagles' loss on Monday night keeps the Cowboys alive in a big way in the NFC East title race. Now, we knew, if most people believed that Seattle was going to beat, that Philly was going to beat Seattle and wrap up. Basically, it wouldn't be official, but if they beat Seattle, it was basically the NFC East was done.
Yeah,
there's no real chance for us. But right now, we are at first place in the NFC because they lost. We're first place in the NFC East at 10-4. We win in tiebreakers right now because we have won one more NFC East game. In the divisional tiebreak, we won one more NFC East game than they have. We are right now 4-1, and they are right now 3-1. The Giants are 5-9. Washington's 4-10. Those games are very important. Eagles play the Giants twice, and the Cardinals once. In between there, you see our schedule: Miami, AFC. That's important in tiebreakers. The Lions, which is actually important in tiebreakers as well. Not just for us versus them, but if we lose, it actually helps us in a way.
And that's what I said. On an overall level, obviously, everything that happens from here on out is going to impact everyone. Yeah, but just from a personal level, obviously. Yeah,
and then you got Washington finishing up, again, divisional game. That's maybe the most important game on our schedule is that Washington Commander game.
Yeah, that's out of all the games here, that one is the one that we absolutely 1,010% cannot afford to lose, regardless of the circumstances.
I'll say this: if the Eagles lose twice in a row, we win twice in a row, then we don't have. That's the only way we don't worry about the Washington game. But anybody splits a game and we win out, that Washington game is the most important game. Now, as the case was last week when we beat Philly, the Eagles still control their destiny when it comes to being the NFC East champions. If they win out, if they beat the Giants this week, the Cardinals next week, and then the Giants again, and to finish up the year, then we can win all 3 games. Guys, they win tiebreaker. I can go through this list with you guys, and I will. I got to go through some of the list, but I'll explain why in a minute. But that's what I'm trying to say. We know that the NFC East is heavily favored right now for the Eagles still. But if the Eagles fuck up somewhere in their schedule and the Cowboys keep winning, then, of course, we get the NFC East. And it's probably the second seed, although the line's right there. They could be second, we could be third. Either way, this helps us keep pace with Philly for the East and also helps us have more options to be able to win the East if different crazy things happen. So just so you guys know, Eagles, Cowboys, tiebreakers, head-to-head is first, and that's split 1-1, right? Best win-loss tie percentage in games within the division. If we both went out, we're both 5-1. All right?
So, again, that cancels itself out, basically.
The best one-loss percentage in common games, which, believe it or not, guys, everything can still switch up, but because of that Seattle win over Philly, that makes those common games kind of a lot more even now. So that kind of could very well go to the next tiebreaker, which, again, guys, just so you know, it's division, right? Head-to-head division, common games, which means we probably have like 4 differences in common games. And then, by the way, we're splitting that. I think we're in common games. We're 2-2 here if we win out. So it doesn't matter. We still have a tie going down in this thing. Then there's the best win-loss percentage in games played within the NFC conference, which is that's why I say the Miami game. You know, if the Eagles slip up, we slip up. The Dolphin game, we're actually in better shape. So again, in a way, that's an important thing there when it comes to win-loss percentages in the conference. And in a way, again, you go to the next one here, strength of victory is the next thing here. And the strength of victory could be the most important one. Because that's where, if we lose to the Lions, we can still win and beat the Eagles if they lose to the Giants. Like, it actually helps us. If we got to lose any of these games, the Lions game or the Dolphins game would not take us out of the mix. Now, of course, we need to win our fucking games. Let me just get that right off the bat there. But that's just kind of a tip of the iceberg. If it keeps going down there, you go strength of victory. That means how many games did we win and how good are the teams we beat. You add up their wins, and then who has the most, who basically got more wins against stronger teams wins that. That's only in the games you've won. Then if that's tied, you go to the strength of schedule in all games, all 17 games. If that's tied, it's the best combined ranking among conference teams in points scored and points allowed in all games. Don't mean we win. It's closer than you think. When I talked to my brother, the Cowboys should win that because we're leading on both points for and points against the Eagles. But if we somehow tie there, it goes to best combined ranking among all teams in points scored and points allowed in all games, best net points in common games, best net points in all games, best net touchdowns in all games, and finally, it would come down to a coin toss. Now, I doubt we're going to get the same exact net points in common games, or net points in all games, or net touchdowns. Can you imagine counting every touchdown? Then the coin toss, which is fucking insane. So that is the breakdown. For us specifically, if the Eagles went out, the Giants, Cardinals, and then the Giants again. Remember, they get 2 home games, the Eagles. So they're home against the Giants, home against the Cardinals, and at the Giants. And the Cowboys went out. Both teams finished at 13-4, remaining deadlocked. And then after the first 4 tiebreakers, head-to-head record, division record, common game record, and conference record, the Eagles would probably still own the tiebreaker. I'll explain what happens in a minute. First, Zach Luna in the house.
Woo!
Taking over everything, guys, with that $50 Sean Lee holla. Zach Luna in the house.
Said I'm bringing the energy.
In first place on the overall board and taking over that stream, boss. What did the man say, baby?
Eagles losing tonight makes the loss to the Bills that much more infuriating. We could have been one up on the East. So that was point A.
Yep.
Point B, we can't even win 1 game on the road against a playoff team. So with the 5th seed, how the fuck are we going to win 3 straight road games in January? I
1000% agree. That's why you heard my comments last night. They were as real as they can be. The Cowboys, if they on the road for three games together, it ain't happening for the Cowboys. People get mad at me for saying that. But it's the truth. The Cowboys will not make the Super Bowl. They won't get out of the fucking damn divisional round. We might be able to win 1 game on the road against the Saints or the Bucks or the fucking, I don't know, who's the other team there? The Falcons. Yeah, maybe. But then we're going to Philly or we're going to San Francisco. That's what's going to happen. So, and then after that, we got to go to the other team. 3 games in a row to get to the Super Bowl. That's going to be tough. The way we've been playing on the road, come on. Let's not fool ourselves, guys. It ain't going to change because we say, come on, let's change. It's got to change because the Cowboys got to really see the fundamental issues they got going on. And if they don't change that, it's not going to be a Super Bowl season. It's going to be a firing of Mike McCarthy season. So, great points there from Zach Luna. That is what I was literally talking to Little G today. And I was like, if the Seattle Seahawks win this game, I'm going to be extra pissed. Because even though it helps the Cowboys, what about that fucking Buffalo game? Why weren't we ready? I could go back and say, what about that Cardinal game? Or the Eagle game we gave away, But either way, you can't go back. I just can't. I'd fucking have a heart attack if I go back and cry over all the spilled milk the Cowboys left on the table this year, right? So Zach making great points, 100% right, and 100 points on the Stream Boss, first place on the overall board. The man took over. Outside of the gifting side, we still got Bobby Bottles, and of course, currently the leader in the Cash App is Mr. Big D. So here's the thing, guys. Listen to this. If the Cowboys and Eagles win out and they're 13-4, teams remain deadlocked, and we're tied in head-to-head. I want to make sure everyone absorbs and make sure I'm not messing up here. We're tied head-to-head, 1-1. Division record would be 5-1 for both teams. The common game record and conference record would be where it comes down to the breaking of it. And the Eagles likely would own the tiebreaker for strength of victory, which would be the next one after that. If we went out, very good chance that the common game record and the conference record are the same. So we have to go to the 5th tiebreaker on this, guys. And that is strength of victory. I chatted in Discord a little bit on this. I also chatted here pre-stream. Strength of victory is the 5th tiebreaker. Trust me, guys, that's way down the list of things. But that would be what it would have to come down to. And the reason the Eagles would likely own that tiebreaker is a couple of reasons why. And I'll tell you guys who we're going to root for here. But it's like my brother said, yeah, the Eagles would have that right now. Let me put it this way. The Eagles would have the strength of victory tiebreaker 34. They would play teams that had 34 wins of the ones they beat and we lost to. Of the teams that we beat and they lost to, we would have 29 wins. The team with the more wins, from their opponents is the one that wins the strength of victory. So you don't count the teams you've beat already. We both beat. I don't know, Carolina. We didn't play Carolina, but we both beat the Commanders and the Giants. Those are thrown out. You don't count them. You only count the differences. And, in a realistic way, when you look at just the opponents we have, the Cowboys have to overcome a much tougher rest of the season schedule, as you can see, Dolphins, Lions, Washington, in the final 3 weeks in order to win the NFC East. But there's some fascinating tiebreakers. And let me just give you guys a little insight at what my brother, Dr. G, had said about things here when it comes to the teams we're rooting for. All right? And I know this sucks. I don't want this, guys. But here's the deal. You got to look at the teams that we beat and they lost to. And you got to look at the teams that they beat and we lost to. All right? And our teams that we're hoping for here, we got to hope that Detroit... We beat Detroit. I'm saying we would beat Detroit if this was a common game thing all the way to the end, right? We go 13-4. We beat Detroit. They beat Minnesota. And Detroit, the more Detroit wins, the better we can be when it comes to those tiebreakers. Tampa Bay, they beat Tampa Bay. We beat Carolina. And again, I think it doesn't matter. It's not common game here. This is just victories. Yeah. Philly has that lead right now. Tampa Bay is better than Carolina. With wins-wise. Seattle, we beat them. They beat, of course, Philly. Arizona beat us, but the Eagles beat Arizona. So, obviously, we beat the tougher team there in Seattle over Arizona. But then Philly has Buffalo over the Jets on us. We lost to Buffalo. They beat Buffalo. They beat the better team. The Jets are the worst team, but we beat them. They beat the Eagles. And the last one is Kansas City and the Chargers. They beat Kansas City. We lost to the Chargers. Kansas City is better than the Chargers by 4 games. So, even though they win those numbers, it's not done by, it's 3-2 they win. It's done by how many wins these teams I just mentioned have. All right? So, the Jets have 5 wins. The Chargers have 5 wins. Detroit has 10 wins right now. Seattle has 7 wins. Carolina has 2 wins. That is 29 points for the Cowboys. For the Eagles, I say 29. That's 29 wins against the opponents that we've beaten. The Eagles would have 7 from basically Minnesota has 7 wins, Tampa Bay has 7 wins, Arizona has 3, Buffalo has 8, and Kansas City has 9 wins. That would put them at 34 wins versus our 29 wins, and they would beat us at this moment. But guys, it's not insurmountable. According to my brother, we have to hope that our teams, the teams that we beat, have to try to keep winning. Now, of course, the Lions should not want to beat. We don't want the Lions to beat us.
No.
We want them to beat everybody else but us right now.
But Seattle, hey, if you want to, keep on destroying teams for the rest of the season,
keep helping us out, guys.
So.
The more these teams,
Rams, you too.
No, the Rams don't count.
True, I forgot about that.
So, the Jets, I'll tell you the teams we're going to root for. It'll make it easy for you, baby. The Jets, they got to keep winning. The Chargers, keep winning. I know they're in trouble. We know Herbert in there. The Lions, just lose to us. Keep winning. Seattle, keep winning. Carolina, somehow, keep winning. If these teams keep winning, and hey, guys, there's some of these teams play each other. Because the Eagles, they're rooting for Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Arizona, Buffalo, and Kansas City. We got to hope those teams keep losing. Feel me? So, I'm not going to get into deeper about this with you guys, but if shit ends up tied, and you want to win that tiebreaker, we have to hope that our teams win, their teams lose. I don't know if anybody has questions on this. I would love to answer them. But, that's why I was kind of talking for a while so you guys can drop your thoughts. If you have any questions, let me know. I think I understand it now. And I think I know we can't answer every question because some things you got to wait till, there's 1 week left or 2 weeks left and then we get closer.
And Bobby Garrett was asking, we are the second seed, right?
We're the second seed. That's a good question. I think we're the second seed over the Lions, but it doesn't matter. It's going to come down to us or the Lions when we play each other, probably. Unless they lose, we win, But second seed or third seed, I'm not even sure where we're at. I think we're the second seed. It's irrelevant, right? Who cares? Who cares overall where we're at right now? Let's just win our games going forward. Let's win the NFC East. That guarantees us a home game, right? Well, Zach Luna earlier said that road streak is hard to fucking overcome. Well, at least we get one home game. 2 road games, can we do it to get to the Super Bowl? I mean, the Super Bowl's a road game for everybody. So I'm just saying, it lessens the fucking trek. Instead of going 3 road games, we got 2 road games. I'll take that, even if it's a third seed. But we got to beat the Lions. That would put us in the second seed, at the very worst. Of course, if we could outdo and beat the fucking Philadelphia Eagles. Beat them out for that spot is what I'm trying to say. So
now, Cat 52 throwing out there, it is what it is. None of them matters if we don't win out. So all we have to worry about is winning our games, not worrying about the other teams.
100% agree, except, and I asked this to my brother, he's like, listen, if the Eagles lose to the Giants and we lose to anybody other than Washington, we win. Tiebreaker. Why? Baby, we're 5-1 if we beat Washington. And if the Eagles lose one of those last 2 games against the Giants in tiebreaker, they're 4-2.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, I mean, so literally, we let's say we stumble against the Lions, or we stumble against Miami, but we win one of the next 2 games, and we beat Washington, we're 5-1. So we end up tied with the Eagles. They got to win out either. If they don't win out, then they're going to probably, unless they lose to the Cardinals, which could happen. That could help us in other ways. If they lose to the Giants, then we still win the East. The division is ours because of divisional records. So again, we beat Washington, and it don't matter what happens. Let's say we lose 2 games and beat Washington. But the Eagles, they lose. I guess we can't lose 2 games. Let's say we lose 1. Let's say we lose to any of those first 2 teams we're playing, the Lions or the Dolphins, but we beat Washington. If the Eagles lose to the Giants, doesn't matter what happens, we win the division. As long as if they lose to 1 game to the Giants and we win, the other ones, then that's it, guys. And we end up with a 5-1 record in the East. They end up with a 4-2 record in the East. Again, if we end up, it would have to be 2 more losses, another loss by us and another loss by them. So we'd have it'd be like 12-5 records for both teams. But we'd be 5-1 in the division if they lost to the Giants and make them 4-2 in the division. So that's where it can change as well if we falter. A lot of outs come out from this game of that the Eagles lost today, where it helps us with only 3 games left. 1 less week actually helps us in a way. So, by the way, we had Zach Luna dropping a $5 holler on it.
Yes, he did. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate you. Much love. You know what he had to say there?
Hit me with it.
Maybe there's a chance we make it to the NFC Championship game. But for that, you got to go through San Francisco. Dallas is better than Tampa Bay. Dallas is better than Philly in the division round, but San Francisco is probably going to be Dallas in that NFC Championship appearance if that's the path that it goes down.
Now, here's the thing, though. Well, I agree what he's saying there. We have to get to the NFC Championship game. It wouldn't have to go through San Francisco. It would have to, if we're the second seed. If they're second seed, we would actually have a second home game, guys. That's how important it is. But if we're the fifth seed, we probably had to go to Philly. Or in that divisional round, San Francisco. And that's where it goes. But if we go through Philly and we get to win that game in the divisional round, then the Niners would be next. We still have to get through them to get to the Super Bowl. So, that's the situation there. But listen, if we win out our games, and the Eagles have to lose one game, no matter what, to win the East. If we stumble to the Dolphins or the Lions, the Eagles still have to lose one game. So us losing a game this week or next week, it doesn't even really matter. Because if let's say we win all three games, the Eagles win all three games. What happens? The Eagles probably win. I told you about the teams we're rooting for, right? But that's a shitty way to lose it. But we put ourselves in that situation. But let's just say, forget about those tiebreakers. Let's say the Eagles falter against the Giants. Let's say this week. Short week for them. For the Giants and Eagles. I don't know if they play on Saturday or Sunday. They're playing Sunday on Christmas Eve. So I'm just saying they get a lesser week to prepare for a division rival who's hungry to just beat anybody, like the Giants. If the Giants beat the Eagles this week, we actually have, no matter what happens with our games, guys, This game against the Dolphins, we actually become the favorite at that point. Keep that in mind. So if we lose against the Dolphins and the Eagles lose to the Giants this week, we control our own destiny. You guys feel me? I'm just trying to give you the word. If the Cowboys and Eagles lose one more time in the same week, we control our own destiny because they will be losing to the Giants. The Giants they'll be losing to the Giants, and that would give us an edge in the division. That's all. I'm just trying to make it simple. Then we control our own destiny.
Justin D throwing out there, the number one seed's still not,
it's
over.
It's not over.
Technically.
But let's worry about what we can really attain, and that's the NFC East. We're 2 games back on the Niners now, guys. The Niners have to lose 2 games out of the last 3. It ain't gonna happen. So I think the Niners, even though it's not wrapped up, they got it. The Niners pretty much got that first round bye. We're fighting for home field in the wild card game. We're fighting for home field if we get that second seed in the second round. In the division, if we get a divisional round home game, if we can win our wild card game at home, and then get a divisional round game at home, we should be seeing Dallas at San Francisco to go to the NFC Championship to go to the NFL Super Bowl. That's what we should be seeing, and that's how important it is to win the NFC East and to at least get that number 2 seed. I want that number 1 seed, but let's be realer. That number 2 seed's more in our grasp, and even more so now. And again, if both teams lose, we blow the game against the Dolphins, and the Eagles blow the game against the Giants. Now the Cowboys, believe it or not, control their own destiny. Interesting how shit goes sometimes, right? So, it'd be much better, by the way, if we won our game and they lost if we win our game to the Dolphins and they lose to the Giants this week, we really control our destiny. We got a game up on them and we got tiebreaker. We'd have to lose both and the Eagles have to win both for them to have a chance. Shit can change fast in the NFL. So, anyways, we talk about winning, though. We got to win our games, and that's what's important. So I don't know if anybody has any other questions about this craziness that's going on, but this loss really cost the Eagles a lot more than it helped us. It hurt the Eagles more than helping us, and it puts us in a place where we can really take over the destiny portion of the NFC East. If luck hits our way, if we win out, Eagles still got to lose a game. But the crazy thing is we both lose this upcoming week, and I don't think we will, but if we both lose this upcoming week, the Cowboys control our own destiny. Insane. And this week, of course, we play the Miami Dolphins. I don't know if there's any other questions on the playoff thing, but I'll get to that in a minute. You find a question or two. If there's not
really questions, just a few comments here, but pretty much everybody here is just, repeating exactly what we said before. Like Michael Dan said, we just need to take care of our business and then just kind of, react to whatever other teams are doing.
I like
first is obviously winning out.
Of course, we want to win all 3 games, but we want to win all 4 games. And my point is that what are the other options? Well, shit actually gets better if the Eagles lose. Put it this way, I'm being real with you guys. I'm being extra real, and I want to win the second seed at least here, right? So we got to keep winning. We want to get that second seed. We win out, we get the second seed. The case closed.
Even one home game could mean the difference between, one and done or maybe more. Who knows?
Exactly. But my thing is that let's say we win. I don't say we win. We win out. The Eagles still have to lose a game.
Yeah.
So let's just say we don't watch the Eagle game. I mean, we don't watch the Cowboy game this week. We just skip watching we just watch the Eagles and Giants. That actually is more important than our game when it comes to winning the East. Because, again, if we win and they lose, forget it. We got full control of our destiny.
Yep.
But if they happen to, you know what I'm saying, if they win and we win, nothing changes. And we beat the Lions and they beat the Cardinals, nothing changes. And we beat the Washington Commanders and then they beat the Giants again, nothing changes. And the Eagles win the East and the second seed. And we're fifth.
Ouch.
And that's the way it goes. So that's why, in a way, if we lose to the Dolphins, let's say it happens. We blow the game, we lose, we're pissed. But the Eagles lose to the Giants. Now we have our destiny for that second or third seed in our hands. We control our destiny now. That's how important the Eagles losing to one game. We're big time Giant fans now for 2 out of the next 3 weeks, in the sense of, hey, if you beat the Eagles, we control our own destiny. But hey, you know what? I've realized and known about things when it comes to our Cowboys. When we control our own destiny somehow, we always just give it back away. We give it away, give it away, give it away, yo.
Yeah,
that's what we do.
It is the season of giving.
Yeah, we can't give shit away, though, during this time of the year.
Exactly.
We got to start taking. So, look, this next game, which is, of course, the next important thing for us, we win, and the Eagles lose, man. We have 2-game lead. Everything has to go. We have like a 90% chance to win the fucking NFC East. If we beat the Dolphins and the Eagles slip up another week and lose 4 in a row, and they lose to the Giants this week on a short week, keep that in mind, against a hungry division rival who still got an outside chance for the playoffs. So, our next game against the Dolphins, let me just hit that up real quick before I get nastier about our game from yesterday. The Cowboys-Dolphins will be the first game in NFL history between teams that have 20 or more combined wins against, together, added up, but 1 or fewer wins versus teams above 500. So basically, both the Cowboys and similar team, different conference.
Very, not even similar team, just they find themselves in very similar situations.
Yeah, I mean, basically, people call the Miami Dolphins the Cowboys of the AFC, and vice versa. We're the Miami Dolphins of the NFC. So the Cowboys are 1-3 against teams that are above 500, or 9-1 right now against teams that are 500 or below. But teams that are above 500, we're only 1-3. The Dolphins are 0-3 against teams that are over 500, and they're 10-1 against teams that are 500 or below. So these are two teams that beat the average to shitty teams all the time, but cannot beat the teams that are above 500. Or at least the Cowboys have 1 win; they have no wins.
Yeah.
So this is, again, very similar teams in that way. The good news is, at least weather-wise, Miami weather this weekend, right now, early first outlook here, it's going to show as cloudy. But a very low chance of rain as of right now. So already an improvement from Buffalo. Also, by the way, I know Florida. We know Florida weather here. It can rain at any moment, but it clears up right away. So that's usually 90% of the time. If it rains, it's gone, and you're good to go. You can squeegee the field and the ball, and you're good to go. So no issue with rain. Should not be any issue with rain this week. When you look at the Dolphins, and they're one of their best defensive players through next-gen stats, Jalen Ramsey. He was locking down Garrett Wilson from the Jets during the first 3 quarters in this Week 15 game that the Dolphins played against the Jets. 21 out of 27 routes. 78% of the time, he locked him down. Ramsey allowed only 3 catches for 25 yards, facing up against Garrett Wilson on only 4 targets across 53 coverage snaps against the Jets this season. So, obviously, Jalen Ramsey, a guy we're going to talk about later in the week, every day probably, about our opponent here upcoming against the Dolphins. So can we beat the good teams? That's the question at hand. I don't know.
Now, Lost in Translation said, we're going to beat Miami because they throw the ball more than they run.
Well, again, and luckily their run game, they got, what was it, Achan? He's pretty fucking good, but I don't know if he's banged up or not. They do have, Mostert, who's one of the, I think he's the touchdown running back touchdown leader in the NFL, a touchdown machine. So he runs hard. If they want to focus on running on us, they do have that ability. But yes, you're right. They do throw a lot more then they run. We'll dive a lot deeper into that this week, of course. When it comes to the closer look at our opponent, the Dolphins. So, but again, guys, that's the Dolphin situation looking up forward here. Now let's look at what Stephen Jones thinks about us beating better teams. Because again, as I show you the schedule, there's 2 good teams left out of the 3 left on our schedule here, and one of them's on the road, which is, I don't know if it's that we can't beat the good teams or we don't play well on the road, because we didn't play well against the Carolina Panthers, guys, and we beat them, but we didn't play well against them on the road. Mark Hope-Sapien in the house. What's up, man? We had a great back and forth yesterday, didn't we? What's up, man? Appreciate you. What did he have to say with that $2 holler?
That's what I was saying, and I got scolded. LOL.
About which part? I said a lot of things. Which part? But the tiebreakers? That's all I've talked about.
Maybe. I'm not. Mr. Hope-Sapien has to clarify that a little bit, but I'm assuming he meant more of a team-specific thing. Just throwing that out there. Oh, the records. There you go. The strength of schedule.
Oh, yeah.
Basically saying that, we have only beat subpar teams or teams below 500, and that hyperinflates some of our success.
Yeah, I know, but Mark, I wanted to make sure I break it down for Mark. We are literally like 5 wins away from beating the Eagles. They're only 5 wins better than us with their victories, bro. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, they're not that much better. The Eagles are not beating teams that much better than we're beating. We're beating similar teams. They're only beating the teams that are 5 wins better than us. Out of all their victories, out of all of their victories and all of our victories, we have 20. Our opponents that we have different, that we've beaten, 29 wins from our guys, 34 wins from their guys. So that's how you break the division. That's how you strength of victory, not strength of schedule. Strength of victory is what is going to be the breaker here, and that means who have you beaten? The Eagles have beaten teams overall, all their wins added up, all 10 wins. They've beaten teams that have 5 more wins than us combined than us. We're not playing that much worse teams. And we're not beating that much worse teams than the Eagles are. Keep that in mind, Mark. I'm just clarifying it for all of us here, because I love the clarity of things here. If you got any questions, guys, make sure you ask me, let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer them. And I'll stop the show if you got, what I'm saying, when dropping the love, if we're doing the drops of love, I'll definitely, of course, go into a full detail if I need to. I got all my stuff saved here, pages of breakdowns and shit like this. So, we can get into this for a 3-hour episode tomorrow or something. We'll see what happens. But we got a lot of stuff today. But yes, listen, Mark, I appreciate the back and forth. I know I was mad yesterday. You were throwing out your stuff out there, and I think sometimes we lose focus of the questions and maybe answering things better. So, but I love the back and forth. I'll give you reasons why I think you're right and why I'm right. I like doing that. We're both right, and I can tell you why I could be wrong and why you're wrong. And sometimes we go back and forth. You know how this thing goes. Much love, Marco Sepien, everybody in the house. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. Zach Luna with 98 points on the Stream Boss right now. So Stephen Jones did speak about, are we good enough to beat teams in the playoffs? That's my big issue, like with Mark Hope-Sapien. Can we beat teams on the road? That's what's going to matter now. We're 5th seed. We got to win every game on the road, just like Zach Luna said minutes ago. Yeah, we dropped another 5 on it.
Woo.
A $5 holla. What did Mr. Zach Luna, who, by the way, is in first place on the overall board, what did he have to say about this?
Des Bryant be like, why don't y'all fix this shit, Dan?
Yeah, exactly. Fix this shit. Dan, Mike, Jerry, we can keep going. But look, we're going to talk about some things the Cowboys have to fix. And I blame everyone. I know last night I got into it with Chalked Up Montana about Dan Quinn. It's the players and Dan Quinn. It's the offensive players. It's Dak, the receivers, the line, and Mike McCarthy. It is the entire fucking team. They got things to sort out, or we are going to be one and done if we're lucky. If we're lucky, we're one and done. Keep that in mind.
Oh, so
there's Mark dropping a 5 on it. What's up, brother? What did the man say?
He said, I'm not sold on Philly either, mind you. Their defense sucks, and their quarterback is overrated. Losing 2 coaches as they did helps us. Philly has easier teams now.
Yeah, they do. They have the Giants twice, though. That's more dangerous for them, believe it or not, than our game against the Dolphins. They have to win that game more than we have to win the Dolphin game.
So the good thing is, fuck the Eagles.
Fuck
Philly. Always an appropriate station.
Yes, not inappropriate, but very appropriate. I know you said very appropriate, but also I just wanted to extra put a exclamation point on that. So, yeah, by the way, Mark, moving up the board, as he always does. Much love to him. But again, can we beat teams that are on the road like the Eagles or, San Francisco? I don't know. I still think we may have an issue with at least San Francisco. I know we can beat the Eagles in Philly. But it's a lot of things that I have to talk about and still see coming forward from them. So, we heard today, I heard from Stephen Jones, believe it or not, guys. Stephen Jones had some words to say about if the Cowboys don't win the division, we're going to have to, we won't be able to, we're not going to, if we don't win the division, we're not going to be able to host a wild card round game. So the rest of the postseason, we're going to have to get through the NFC by playing on the road, 3 games plus a Super Bowl. So Stephen Jones said on Monday that he's confident the Cowboys can beat a quality team on the road, but also, of course, at our stadium. So what do you say about beating teams in the playoffs? If we get a home game, if we get a wild card home game, can we beat a good team there?
He said, absolutely, no question. We've got the right guys. We've got the right players. We've got the right coaching staff. I think it's one of those things where you look at each game, and obviously that San Francisco game and this game last night were tough ones for us. But I thought we played really good football against the Eagles and gave ourselves every opportunity to win it against a good football team. We didn't make the plays at the end of the game, but we certainly had a chance to win the game, and we didn't do it. I just think this team is, like I said, it's real easy to pile on, and I totally understand that. I know our fans are disappointed, and I certainly understand the criticism, but we just have to go to work.
That sounds like a little clown show shit right there. But look, it's what Stephen Jones is there for, to talk the clown show shit. Anyways, he's confident we can win against a good team in Dallas, and I think he's confident we can win on the road. I think we could beat the Eagles, but I don't think we could beat the Niners right now. At home, yes. On the road, I have big questions about that. Mark Hosepian dropping the 1-0, the $10 holler, as he takes Zach Luna to 85 points in the Stream Boss.
Ooh.
What did Mark Hosepian have to say as he's up in 4th place on the overall board? He's repping Dak Prescott.
So tag you're it. To also clarify,
yes,
I don't blame Dak for the loss.
Uh-huh.
Montana could not have won that game.
Right.
For all the offensive talent, it's unacceptable to have 10 points. I expect Dak to at least keep us in the game when the defense sucks.
Again, if he has options. Did he have options yesterday? The O-line was okay, but there was some issues there with pressure. The bigger issue was, where were the receivers at? And not necessarily running the routes. Why were they covered? Why were they so tightly covered? What were we doing differently that we didn't do in our wins? It's not the team we played. It's where we played. Mark, I hope you're here for this, man. We're going to break it down. I'm going to try to get through this as fast as possible because
let's do it.
There's a lot of good stuff here we got and a lot of stuff we got to still talk about. I hope everybody's here for the ride. So again, hit that like, subscribe if you're new, and let's keep going with this thing. There's Stephen Jones's comments. You see Mark Hosepian's comments, and yes, I understand what you're saying. It wasn't on Dak, but you want Dak to keep us alive in games. Like you said, Joe Montana couldn't keep us alive in games in this kind of game.
Yeah, and that like Jeff said in the chat too, Dak also had a bad game himself.
I 100% agree. Yeah. Dak was off, but the defense was off. The coaching was off. Offense and defensive coaching was off. It was awful. Tackling was off. Penalties and discipline fucking off. Give us some of these things. Give us a couple of these, not all these fucking wrongs, and we can win the game. Give me a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and Dak can have a bad game, we still be fine. So
we don't have that leeway anymore.
No, well, the problem is when you have 8 things that you fucked up on.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you don't have that leeway.
You don't have that.
Anymore.
You can't. We don't want to see it happen. But if a couple things happen wrong, we should still win. If everything happens wrong, we ain't gonna win, and we're gonna lose 31-10. The Cowboys right now at home this year, 171 points plus 171 points in differential. On the road, we're -4. And you can include Carolina in that. I'm just saying we're -4 on the road. At home, we are plus 171 points. No team in the modern era, we're talking about since 1993. I'm sorry. In the modern era, 1933, my fault. 1930, we're talking about 100 years ago, guys. No team in the modern era, 90 years, has posted a negative road point differential with a home point differential of at least 170 or more. It's an insane anomaly here. It seems to only happen to us. We win on the road. At home, we win by at least 171 points overall this year so far or more. But on the road, we lose by, say we have -4 overall. This has never happened, guys, in the modern era of football. We're not talking about the Super Bowl era. Modern era, 1933. We're not talking about 1920. We're talking about 1933. All the Cowboy losses have been on the road. We're scoring only 18.2 points. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. We're scoring 18.2 fewer points per game than when we play at home. So we score 18 more points at home than we do on the road. That's the third biggest differential since the Super Bowl era, since the late 60s. McCarthy has 2 of those 3 teams that he's coached on the list. One in Green Bay and one in Dallas. What is wrong with McCarthy coaching better at home and coaching worse on the road? So Mark
he leaves his playbook or scheme book or whatever at home when we travel.
I know. In recent years, it's been like, we play worse against the worst.
Thank you, Bijou, for subbing it up.
Yes.
I see Mark Hosepian also dropped the $5 holler. I'm going to go ahead and let you finish
Yeah.
before I touch
Welcome
on
to
that.
the family, Bijou. And also, Mark, we'll get to you in a minute. I just want to finish saying my sentence here that Mike McCarthy, someone like Mark Hosepian says that, a lot of times, that he's right. In recent years, we beat the shittier teams. We can't beat the good teams. But it's been more like, on the road, we still beat the shitty teams we still beat the good teams. So let me rephrase that. We have more trouble with the shittier teams on the road this year than we have in the past. And we've beaten, you can say we've beaten the better teams or maybe higher quality teams at home than than in the past where we had more trouble with. It didn't matter if it was home and away. It mattered about the team strength. Now, there's something different with the home and away. Coaching, playing, whatever. We're 3-4 on the road now. This is not a good thing going into the playoffs when you're going to play most of your games on the road, if not all of them. And McCarthy, that's the key here is McCarthy. Since the Super Bowl number 1, Mike McCarthy has 2 out of the 3 teams that get outscored this much, that scores that many less points on the road than at home. So is that a McCarthy thing or is it a coincidence thing? First and foremost, what did Mark have to say, baby? Dropping that 5 on it and taking Mr. Zach Luna to 79 points. What did Mark say with that 5?
Like I said, all the offensive talent. He did have 4 interceptions dropped and overthrew wide open Cooks and was not under pressure on that throw. The issue is clowns.
In the end, it's back to the foundation. It's always the clown show. In fact, we haven't seen it for a while. Let's bring it up here. It was a little clowny performance there by the Cowboys.
It was, but even we have to admit, it's not like the front office is out there,
playing,
telling McCarthy what to do in this particular case.
I agree. Usually they're more involved when it came to Kellen Moore. That seemed to be more when they were involved and really clowning it up and affecting us in game. This is could be more coaching. I'll explain in a minute here because we heard from McCarthy. But the point is, on the road, we score 18 points less than at home. And it doesn't matter if the team is good or bad. So the Cowboys, and here's the reason why. I think here's the reason. Here's one of the main reasons why. And I'm going to go to coaching first with McCarthy. So keep it near here, guys, what I'm trying to say. And actually, let me take off the schedule. We've seen the schedule enough. You can see my pretty face. Mm-hmm. Listen to this. The Cowboys used a lot of motion. Remember I've been saying about using motion since 6 years ago on MyCowboysFamily. I said use motion in our offense. We are a stagnant, non-moving offense here. So what is I'm just saying when we say static, is that standing still? No, I don't know.
Yeah, static means not moving.
Yeah, we're a static fucking offense for fucking forever since Jason Garrett and everything like this. But this year, after week 6 in the bye, we started using a lot more motion, and it was working and working well. But let's look a little deeper in things here, guys. When it comes to this game against Buffalo, we used a lot of motion on our first drive of the game. Do you remember what happened on that first drive? We actually drove down the field and scored 3 of our 10 points of the game. We used motion a lot in that first drive. But guys, the second drive, the third drive, and the fourth drive, all the way to halftime, the rest of the first half, the Cowboys used motion once. Pre-snap motion.
Like the kiss of death.
One fucking time. One time we used motion in drives 2, 3, and 4 in this game. The offense is being called differently by the coaching staff, by Mike McCarthy, on the road than when we call the games at home.
Yeah, it's
after
not
that bye
all
week.
The offense or execution side of things, right? Like the scheme is different. McCarthy schemes things differently.
He definitely plans things differently because he's not using fucking motion. Why don't teams use? So now the question is, we went away from motion.
I guess we leave it at home when we travel.
After the first drive, which was our best one of the day, don't forget that we drove down the field. After that first drive, we used motion. Most of that drive, we used motion. Pre-snap, at the snap, we used motion. We've been doing great with this. All of a sudden, remember, we played 4 out of 5 games at home here recently. So we got a lot of home games, a lot of motion, stats going up, and great stuff going on from pre-snap and at the snap motion. But then we stopped doing that after that first drive. It feels like the Cowboys are playing scared by McCarthy or tighter by McCarthy. And a lot of times, I'm going to explain why teams do this in general. Why do sometimes teams shy away, go away from motion? Because you need to hear the quarterback. You need to hear other things than just the quarterback. And on the road, we know things usually get a lot louder for the away team, right? Exactly. So it's hard to hear. The noise and timing of motion is affected by the crowd noise. So you could say, well, Mike McCarthy, that's his excuse. But you know what I know? Aggressive teams that use it a lot at home use it a lot on the road as well. It's not as much as home, but they use it more than the average team does on the road. And we fucking blew it in this game. We stopped using motion. That's just one of the many problems.
Not matching that same energy.
One of the many. You're not helping your quarterback. You're not helping your receivers. You're not helping your tight ends, running backs, your offensive line when you don't do motion. I know it sounds stupid. And you can say, well, Dak threw a bad pass, right, Mark? You can say, it was a bad tackle on defense and that. But the offense was doomed when we decided to fucking just throw motion in the back seat. After the first drive, we didn't use motion the rest of the game. For the rest of the half, after that, it was pretty much they were in control. So, yeah, we should still use it more than we've been using it on the road. Take a shot
every time Mr. MCF says motion. He'll be drunk by the end of this
session. Motion. McCarthy, motion. Let's go. Oh. Look, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but to me, that's where the foundation breaks down for Dak, for the offensive line, for the receivers. You don't get separation because you stopped using motherfucking motion. Does that count as one? Is that hyphenated?
Saying Mike is great. He can't do it all.
Yeah, that's defense, though. We'll get to that in a minute.
Pioneer said exactly like 3. I'm just trying to read some of the comments here real quick. But Pioneer said exactly like the last 3 years. The inconsistency is the evidence of McCarthy's interference. One drive is fire. The next is called completely counter to our successful drives. So, honestly, again, that I would say is a little more Kellen Moore-esque in a way. But yeah, McCarthy is definitely showing some of those same tendencies. But again, specifically on the road. Again, like you said, Mr. MCF, on one hand, you understand why McCarthy might have made some of those adjustments or maybe not called as much motion or whatever. But on the other hand...
no shot.
What? No, I said when you said
Cleveland Brown's drunk already. You can't say anymore.
But on the other hand, again, you said it. Why the good teams, the successful teams, adjust, adapt, but they don't move away from the things that are working. And McCarthy basically moves away from the things that are working. And we know our offense looks... It's a 9-day difference when we're able to move around.
And make it clear here, he don't go away from those things. He don't go away from it from the good teams and the bad teams. He goes away from it on the road versus home. And that's an issue we had this year, right? I mean, it's kind of adding up now, right? Home, we're dominating the teams that were good or we thought were good, or the ones that were good, like the Eagles, right? We dominate at home. On the road, we struggle against Carolina. That's not a good team. They got a good defense, but that's not a good team. So we were 17-10 in the fourth quarter. I know we won 30, whatever. Doesn't matter. It was 17-10 in entering the fourth quarter. So on the road, we struggle a lot. And is it the players that suck? The coaching that sucks? It's a combination that they're fucking up, but it's the coaching starts it. And it starts with Dan Quinn. We'll talk about Dan Quinn. I hope Montana's around. But what I'm trying to say is on the offense, Mike McCarthy has switched up some things on the road, which has hurt us, and I don't like that. I have an issue with that, if you know what I mean. Now, McCarthy spoke after the game, right, baby? He had something to say. I'm going to give you updates on what he said today, but you started off. We'll start with McCarthy here. We already kicked it off with Stephen Jones. McCarthy spoke. I'll have some more stats and things for you guys. Don't worry. More breakdown and more ranting. The rant is going to be throughout. You just can't come back for the rant portion. Yeah. The whole fucking stream's a rant. But go ahead, baby. Hit it up. What did Mike McCarthy say after the game after that disgusting 31-10 loss to Buffalo?
We did not play well. We play so well at home, and there's just too big of a gap in our road games. We've got to be much better on the road, regardless of what's in front of us and all the other conversations. There's too big of a gap between home and away.
And we literally just talked all about that. Boom. No motion. Take another shot.
So he also added in there, they got on our edge a bunch. I know Dan Quinn and the guys were very impressed with Cooks throughout the week. They performed better than we did. They broke our contain. They broke tackles. They won the bend back machine. Just all the little things that we've been
God damn, they won the bend back machine. We're fucked.
Oh.
Caught you off guard.
I know, that was random. But McCarthy said there's no question. We've got to be better. They ran the ball way too effectively. All three phases didn't get it done, starting with me. We needed to put points on the board for our defense, and our defense needed some help today. We didn't give it to them.
Damn right. That's. I mean, he's just repeating the facts that happened in the game.
Exactly. So he also added in there, it's all the little things that we could have been good at, and they were better at today. So, and by the way, like I kind of said this, I snuck it in right at the end of last night's stream, but in case you didn't know, I know a lot of us are saying like, oh, the Cowboys maybe, played slightly differently knowing they secured a playoff spot. Well, finds out that's incorrect because McCarthy said that they didn't know until the post-game interviews that they had clinched a playoff spot in general.
Wow, so it didn't make a difference.
However we played today had absolutely zero bearing on the fact that we already technically made the playoffs.
Yeah, the way we played against Buffalo yesterday had nothing to do with us making the playoffs. At least that's what McCarthy is saying. Who knows if some guys knew or something, they had heard about it, but McCarthy, he's saying he didn't know, which tells me the team had nothing to do with the way they played. Like some of you guys are saying, oh, hey, they had it in the bag already, a playoff spot. No need to worry. No. That sounded crazy to me anyways. And that kind of confirms that the Cowboys didn't know about the fact that they made the playoffs or clinched the playoff spot, which probably means the fifth spot at worst for us.
Exactly.
But it also means, every game's a road game now.
So, just throwing that out there too, that McCarthy added in there saying they got on our edge a bunch.
Yeah.
They performed that, the guys were very impressed, and the guys is in like our guys. They performed that way. They broke contain. They broke tackles. They won the bend back, and they were better at it today. Yeah, we've got to be better. They ran the ball way too effectively. Our run defense needs to do much better without a question.
And that's something we're going to talk about tonight here on MCF. Another one of our problems on this defense, and I've been talking about it all year, that run defense.
So, by the way, McCarthy did say that he thought about taking the ball to start the game, especially considering the weather situation. I'm just saying, like,
I was thinking about that too.
The weather was kind of a big factor, but he said that the wind changed his mind. It was clearly the right thing to do, he said.
I don't mind him taking the ball second half, even with the rain situation or the wind. It was not going to be as bad, but it still was going to be affecting the game some.
So, but yeah, that's pretty much it from McCarthy as far as his post-game commentary. Obviously, he had a little more to say than that.
Yeah, listen,
that was just everything
he gave us an update on old Zach Martin. Zach Martin with the injury, guys. Again, we know he's banged up after the game. He did not come back with that thigh contusion, dealing with a basically bruised quadricep. All right, a bruised thigh. McCarthy met today. Again, you talked about last night, but today he met with the media and added context to the severity of Zach Martin. Injury update. McCarthy said that right guard Zach Martin with the quad injury, quote, will definitely have a chance to play this week at Miami. So it looks like, again, guys, he exited this in the first quarter. Finally,
a little bit of good news.
Exited the first quarter to the Bills with the injury, never came back. He just said, we definitely have a chance. Zach Martin will definitely have a chance to play this week. That is the outlook. And by the way, during even the press conference, Zach Martin was being rehabbed as this was going on. So again, we'll get little updates on him. Don't expect any practice from him, but expect him to play against Miami, and that'd be big. TJ Bass, he's all right, good little backup there, but we want Zach Martin back in there, right? McCarthy also revisited the road issue. So again, the road issue meaning, quote, we need to do better on the road, east or west. And again, he said that, he points to the reigning world champion, World Series champs, the Texas Rangers. You know what he said about them? He said, we got to do what the Texas Rangers do. I have every confidence that this team will respond to this challenge. That's great. We got to see it. Sorry, Mike. I don't care about your words. He said about the game, quote, not a burn the tape process for us. When he said it's Monday, he said it's about growth, watching the film and learning the mistakes. He said using Micah Parsons, by the way, at linebacker was a real option against the Bills in this game. And then he acknowledged that the Bills took advantage of the way that we ran the nickel defense by Dan Quinn. And I'll talk about Dan Quinn soon. Definitely some issue with Dan Quinn's scheme, along with the players, and it combined together.
Yeah, the Dan Quinn scheme is separate from maybe some of the execution mistakes that we saw. Obviously, both contributed to the lackluster defense.
Yeah, we'll get into that, yeah. But I see the man, Marco Seppian
contributed to the not lackluster showing here with a $5 holler. He said,
what did the man say?
I'll tell you what was flat out stupid. We have 2 top 10 corners in the league, yet we keep playing 2 safeties back. Our linebackers are small, and they needed that help.
You're going right. You and Mr. Montana 808 are going right down the path I'm going to talk about here when it comes to the defense. So we're getting closer. You're hitting up a lot of interesting things there that I agree with you on.
Thank you, Mark.
Much love to Mark, taking Zach to 74 points. But I also want to add in there 2 guys that were missing in this game, and that's Jonathan Hankins and Malik Hooker at safety. Yeah, 2 high safety is the reason. So I actually asked that question before the game. How we change our single high now with missing our single high guy, the very important number 28, Malik Hooker. And that seems to be the road that Dan Quinn took. Go 2 high safeties, and you see how other things opened up against our defense. Especially when we know Jonathan Hankins helping in that run game. So much love to Mark. Great question. I'll get to that in a minute. But one of the big interesting things was that the talk of Micah Parsons playing linebacker in this game instead of edge rusher. So anyways, the point is, because of the way the Bills played on offense, they took advantage of the way the Cowboys played nickel defense. And I'll get into that more context in a minute. That's what McCarthy said. He also was asked how do you think the defensive line played Sunday against the Bills' run game? And McCarthy said, quote, we're not passing out any game balls in any area of our run defense. And then he actually talked about tackling, how bad it was. The Cowboys missed 12 tackles yesterday. You guys go back to late last week in the weekend. I said and this is true, we were the least missed tackle team in the league. We missed the least tackles in the fucking NFL. I think we doubled our number in one game over the whole fucking season.
Yeah, I feel
that
like
is disaster.
We're in one of those bull things, right? And it's like ole, ole.
They're just olaying us over the field.
Yeah.
Matador is just kicking our ass. Listen. No game balls for the defense. McCarthy with the 12 missed tackles on defense. He said, quote, the biggest issue on defense was the tackling. We lost the tackling battle. And as I said,
you said, it wasn't just like, one guy maybe lost it. No. Like a variety of guys.
We're gonna break that down as well. I just want to remind everybody that, this team here, there's been issues all year, but we've been exposed a little bit in this Bills game. Now, who else spoke when it comes to the coaching staff? Let's move over to Dan Quinn. Let's talk. You guys talking defense? Let's talk a little defense here. Dan Quinn said this about the disappointment in losing to the Bills. Quote, our tackling and our ball hawking. I was very disappointed in those 2 things. He said, quote, those 2 areas are our secret sauce. And he said that the defense lacked both of those things, which I don't disagree with him. The tackling and ball hawking was not there. So again, he's stating nothing to do with slowing down the defense. home and away or turf or grass. He said nothing to do with home and away, turf or grass. He said, quote, I think that was the biggest impact of the game for us. Again, let me reiterate it. Tackling and ball hawking. Now, we missed 12 tackles. There is no doubt in my mind the players are fucking up on that side of things, but I'll get into that a little bit more. Dan Quinn also got into it more about the tackling. He said, quote, our tackling was not up to our own standard. It is disappointing because that's one of the things we hang our hat on. If we had tackled better, our run defense would have improved. And I agree with him on all these things. But my only question is this. Why did the scheme didn't help your players? Your scheme didn't help put the players in better situations to have better tackling. You guys feel what I'm saying here? We're playing 4-man fronts on uneven, overloaded goal line fronts on their offensive line. We're getting reamed up the ass in nickel defense, guys. So I'll keep it going here, though, because he also talked about Mozzie Smith. Where's Mark Hosepian? About our great draft that we had this year. I'm being sarcastic, obviously. Mozzie Smith, how is he doing? He didn't do that great. He did get a sack, though. Defensive coordinator Dan Quinn said this about
lame considering
the way he got it.
More just the actual reality impact of all of it. But yeah, even the way he got it was not exactly exciting.
No, it wasn't like he did it. It was more Micah did it, you know. So, look, when asked about Mozzie Smith, Dan Quinn said that, quote, the rookie first-round pick played a strong game, and he played square inside. So he kept the spot there, didn't get pushed back too much. And, again, he also talked about DeMarcus Lawrence and Donovan Wilson. Both of these guys, he said, were, quote, bright spots. And usually it was because of physicality. You understand? We got out-physicaled by this fucking Buffalo team. By their offense, out-physicaled our defense. And their defense out-physicaled our offense. That's just the way it is. We got out-physicaled. And why have we lost in the playoffs the last 2 years? It was the San Francisco 49ers because it got beat the fuck up. This team still has a weakness. And it is getting beat the fuck up. It's itis, okay? So what I'm trying to say here is Dan Quinn also spoke about Carl Davis Jr., the practice squad guy that was called up for this game. He said, quote, did well in his team debut. But he still also referenced the fact that the defense had 12 missed tackles. Not many bright spots for Dan Quinn or this defense, who, by the way, I've been saying all year that this defense is an issue, whether it's some scheme, whether it's some of the players, some weaknesses in this defense. They're there. And I've said it mainly on the run defensive spot. But, of course, I do have to say one thing to at least put things in perspective. No Jonathan Hankins. Obviously, that's a big loss stopping the run. Right, guys? I mean, there's only so much you can do when the clown show won't get you anymore, right? But he gave him Mozzie. So Mozzie's just not ready. And neither was Neville Gallimore, and neither was Carl Davis.
We kind of touched on this a little bit more.
No one's going to be ready like the way Hankins is ready.
Exactly, but during the game, obviously in an overall sense, no, you can't call Mozzie Smith a bust. It's only his rookie year, right? You got to give him time. The same way that Tolbert, obviously, like you said, he was a bust
rookie year, but not a bust now.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say, but you can't deny that at least for this season, this year, right here, right now, and for the moments that we've asked him to kind of step up, he is falling a little bit short there.
A lot short. But I expected that from Mozzie. Not because Mozzie stinks or is great. Because every defensive tackle has issues kind of getting to their best in their first season. That's just the way it is. At the defensive tackle spot more than any other position in football. So when you look at the grades in this game by the analytical side of things, the 4 highest graded Cowboys against Buffalo on our defense, DeMarcus Lawrence was number 1. Micah Parsons, number 2. Stephon Gilmore was number 3. And Mozzie Smith, number 4 on this list. Mozzie Smith, his score jumped up a lot higher because of that sack we spoke about. That sack, and again, he also had a pressure. Now, he had a sack and a pressure on just 8 pass rushing snaps. So at least on that side, you got to give Mozzie some credit. I guess, 20% of the time, is it 25% of the time, he got either to the quarterback a sack or got pressure. He got a pressure, he got 1 sack on 8 pass rushing attempts. But he still graded below average versus the run. And guys, again, The issue was James Cook running all over us and catching, and that was that's no Jonathan Hankins, and that's what happens when you have right now a still being worked on Mozzie Smith. That's one of the main reasons why our run defense looked even worse than I think it usually could be worse, actually. But we got lucky there in the sense that we haven't seen this come out until, unfortunately, such an important... Guys, how important did I say Hankins was last year? How many tackles did LVE get? 12 double-digit tackles when Hankins played in games. He makes a difference and lets your linebackers eat. This game, the linebackers got eaten up because he had Mozzie, Neville, and others out there that just couldn't pick up the slack. The 3 lowest-rated guys on defense, Rashaan Evans, Dorrance Armstrong, and Dante Fowler, who, by the way, Fowler was flying all over the place, missing sacks. He could have had a better game.
Yeah, and Asmodeus, I'm throwing this out there. The Cowboys are probably, prepare yourself to hear we're happy with who we have at some point from one of the Joneses this week. Just being real. That's coming, so don't be surprised. So... Oh, no, and yeah, Mike Aldana, that's my point, and that's what I mean by bust rookie season. Yeah. It's not really a bust or whatever, but obviously, like we said, the learning curve for a defensive tackle, very different than for a receiver, other positions, so you're already going into it expecting them not to look all that great in their rookie year, but like we said, looking good or not, Mozzie was asked to step up, and he did not necessarily fill that role.
Simple and simple as can be. He's just not ready yet to be a starter in the way Hankins can do his job the proper way. It's just no comparison there. So a guy that I think also is taking heat. I don't even know why. He was by far, if not our best. I think he's obviously still had the best player in our defense, and that is Micah Parsons. But he's taking a little heat because of the linebacker comment. Should he have played linebacker in this game, Dan Quinn, instead of putting him at edge? And I think the way they were running so much, that is an adjustment miss by Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn should have adjusted and say, you know what, they're running all over us. Let's lose one of the best linebackers in the league to track down James Cook. Now, Micah playing a linebacker, just so you know, would not have changed a fucking thing, though. Because at the edge, what did he do? He had 7 pressures and only 18 pass rush attempts. So, again, out of 18 pass rushes, 7 times he got to the quarterback. And people are saying he was horrible. I mean, people are saying he got held. Guys, this game he got held a lot less than the other games that we've complained about. But the run game was the problem, so could Micah have helped there? But the problem is we would have had no pass rush either. Without Micah, there was nobody really creating anything going on back there. He also had a 35.3% pass rush win rate. So Micah was doing Micah things, creating sacks for Mozzie and helping, kind of hurt the passing game for the Bills, but they mainly ran the ball. So that's a Quinn adjustment question. When it comes to Micah, and I don't know if he spoke yesterday, but Micah, he has the most pressures in the NFL right now, 89. Nick Bosa has 85, Hutchinson 81, Josh Allen 76, and Max Crosby 75. The highest pass rush win rate in the NFL. Myles Garrett 26.1, Micah Parsons 25.1, Nick Bosa 23.1, and Aaron Donald 21.5. Those are the top 4. Odds to win Defensive Player of the Year as of this morning. Micah Parsons still at negative 110-1 odds right there. So he is expected to still win the Defensive Player of the Year. Myles Garrett at 185-1, TJ Watt at 350-1, and DeRon Bland is 4th at 2,500-1. He's basically out of this. It's between Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons when it comes to Defensive Player of the Year. But, I don't give really a shit about that. I want to win a Super Bowl. Now, the run defense. That, to me, is where I'm going to put this guy up on the screen when it comes to criticizing the run defense, Dan Quinn. Because this could be traced back to his scheme. The run defense for the Cowboys was highlighted and exposed in a horrible way. We gave up 266 rushing yards to these Buffalo Bills yesterday. That's the most yards we gave up on the ground by the Cowboys since 2012. That's 11 fucking years ago. The last time we had and we had some bad run defenses.
The last time we had somebody run all over us like this.
But we've had some 220, 230 yards against us last year. And the year before that. And this still beat all that shit that we've seen in recent years. Mark Hovsepian dropping another 5 on it. And by the way, Mark is now in second place on this overall board. I got to update that. He's flying right up taking Zach Luna to 69 points. What did the man say, Mr. Marco Seppian?
He said, "It takes time to develop, but for a so-called super strong number one pick to play this bad is not good. The defensive edges are nowhere other than D-Law. The D-line is an issue."
That's why there was no game balls. Agree 100%. The defensive line is having issues, breakdowns, and Mark has said this throughout the year. There's no one scary other than Micah when it comes to the pass rush side. You know, I could say Osa and some others get in there. I think pass rush were fine. It's the way teams play the pass rush is where the issue is. The run stop is the bigger issue. With no Jonathan Hankins, with Micah at the edge and no Jonathan Hankins, I think that made that problem twofold bigger. It doubled the issue because Micah, if they run on us, Micah's running himself out to play. And if he's at linebacker, at least he has a chance to maybe make a better play, but he can get crushed by double-teamed, offensive linemen coming at him, coming off blocks in the second level because there's no Hankins there. So he would have been crushed, and it probably wouldn't have made much of a difference when it comes to their running ability. So I hear you, Mark, and I'm going to continue saying this because when it comes to our defensive line, the biggest issue in this game, more than needing guys on this team, the only guy we needed was Jonathan Hankins. That would have made a bigger difference in this game, at least helping. It wouldn't have been 266 yards leaked out of our asshole when it comes to them running all over us. So the Cowboys desperately need Jonathan Hankins back to shore up the middle. We might not be the best run-stopping team with Jonathan Hankins, but we are 10 times better with Jonathan Hankins in there than anybody else on our team right now. Keep that in mind. So the Cowboys, it's funny. The Cowboys were actually able to win the pass blocking situations, right? We were getting through pass rush-wise against the Buffalo Bills offensive line. They're a good offensive line. But when they ran the ball, and we've seen it happen a couple of times, that first player overran them, like Micah did a couple times. A lot of our guys missed tackles in the backfield. That is where James Cook adjusted. And it led to a big Bills efficient gain on the ground. So when we got in, we won. When it was the run blocking win rate, the Cowboy defensive line actually did well. You hear, Mark? The defensive line won their blocks on the defensive line. The problem is we missed tackles in the backfield. We missed tackles on the one after a 1 or 2 yard gain, and somehow they made it a 8-yard gain, a 12-yard gain, a 15-yard gain, a touchdown. This is what they did to us yesterday. It was the missed tackles. Now, against the Bills, guys, there were 6 broken tackles. We missed 12, but there were 6 broken tackles. 13 big plays were given up by our defense, most of them on the ground. You look at the whole season as a whole, we're plus 87 big plays on defense, guys. We are the big play team. We just stop you from having a big play. We are plus 90 when it comes to, tackling. So, again, guys, when you look at the way the Cowboys are kind of playing here, so, again, what did this produce for us? The Cowboys missed 12 tackles against the Bills. That is the most, again, it equals the Niners game. And it was the most, since who knows when, a while back. But 9 different players is the key here. It wasn't like one guy missed all the tackles. 9 different players. Out of the 12 missed tackles, 9 of those were some individual misses from different players. 9 different players had a missed tackle. Wanye Thomas missed 3 by himself. So when you look at Wanye Thomas, is he a starter?
I mean, no, he's a backup.
So he's in there because no Malik Hooker. Malik Hooker is a good tackler. You see how the trickling down theory goes here? You got Hankins.
You understand now why certain guys, even though, because obviously we have those moments, right, where people are like, oh my gosh, why don't we
Brian
see more
Broaddus don't like Hooker.
This person or that person or whatever? Well, now we know why maybe we haven't seen as much of Wanye Thomas this year.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. That, because sometimes people make the argument like, some of our backups maybe should get more play time. Well, this is unfortunately sometimes what happens in those cases. There's a reason the starters are usually the starters.
Also, I want to bring up the fact that without run stopper, helper, whatever you want to call him, Jonathan Hankins, and Malik Hooker keeps us in a single high safety so our defense can do more stuff, attacking the run, adding pressure, better in coverage. We had to do a lot of two high safeties now. We had less help now underneath. We had less help to stop the run because of the Malik Hooker injury. And, of course, a lot of less stopping the run when it comes to no Jonathan Hankins. So these are such important pieces that we think, oh, Micah's the only one. You can't lose a Malik Hooker. You can't lose a Jonathan Hankins. If you lose him, the thing is, Wanye Thomas could be utilized great in our team. Yeah. The problem is, Dan Quinn has a way of using him. When you have to force him into a free safety spot, that's not Wanye Thomas's number one ability. So you can see why maybe Wanye Thomas had to be used, but he's not the guy that he would use Wanye Thomas differently if it was up to Dan Quinn and he had Malik Hooker in the game. So, anyways, a lot of issues there with guys that couldn't help stop the run like Jonathan Hankins. Malik Hooker gone changes our defensive scheme, and then a guy like Wanye Thomas, who's a backup, and he's 3 missed tackles, along with 9 other guys that each missed a tackle. It's unacceptable by the players, and it's unacceptable from Dan Quinn. Let me say something to this, guys. Listen to this. Buffalo Bill running back James Cook on Sunday became the first player to have at least 220 yards from scrimmage against the Dallas Cowboys in an entire decade. The last person to do that was Calvin Johnson, wide receiver back in 2013. When James Cook, number 4, and didn't I talk about James Cook the entire week? Every night I talked about James Cook, the running back for the Bills. But he came into the game, guys, as the most dangerous weapon, and I mentioned this multiple times, for the Bills, and they actually put him in center stage, basically. He took advantage. He ran and took up a lot of yards wherever he ran, but baby, when you guys said it too in the chat, when he ran at the edges, outside, 9.5 yards per carry on the edges. Almost a first down every time he went to the outside. 9.5 yards. He also, again, with the Cowboys not tackling well, he made us pay. He forced 8 missed tackles in this game, just on his own. James Cook was first contacted at or behind the line of scrimmage on only one of his 25 runs on Sunday. So even when we got him at the line of scrimmage or not, after the line of scrimmage, we still let him get yards after contact. That's
his
a big.
His agent's probably going to send us a fruit basket.
I'm telling you guys, 25 runs and we didn't get one first contact behind the line of scrimmage by our run defense. You put Jonathan Hankins in there, I bet you that fucking changes. James Cook, guys, he averaged 4.2 yards per rush before he was hit. He got 4 yards on average before he got hit by a Cowboy player. He's the third player in the last 2 years to average at least 4 yards before getting contact. Getting that many rushes, 25 or more. I mean, I'm sure guys have not getting with 5 runs, you might get 8 yards of no contact. You get lucky, you get a good game. But with 25 rushes or more, it's hard to get 4 yards or more per run without getting hit. Before you get hit, only one guy. He's a third player in the last 2 years to have these kind of numbers, to have these many yards without contact before getting hit. 4 yards. 4.2 yards, actually. And here's another key where Dan Quinn fucked up. It was Dan Quinn's lack of adjustment. That's the first time we said that this year. The Bills were using different personnel groupings, guys. Listen to this. This was important because you got the 12 and 11 and 13 personnel, but they were using 22, 21, and 20 personnel, which means a lot of running backs and tight ends. They were using goal line kind of personnel groupings to take advantage of when Dan Quinn put in the nickel defense. The way we used to run it, we'd have a guy like Malik Hooker covering back. We couldn't do that this game, and they took advantage of us. So they got into heavier, and I say heavier personnel, that means you got 22 or 22 jumbo. What does that mean? 22 means 2 running backs, 2 tight ends.
Okay.
22 jumbo means 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, and a 6th offensive lineman. So they had a 6th offensive lineman. They had 5 offensive linemen, their 6th guy, and then 2 tight ends and 2 running backs. When you have that, that's called a fucking run. And the Cowboys...
A fucking run, remember that.
Yeah. The Cowboys matched that with nickel defense. Now, again, if you understand anything I'm talking about, I know it sounds like a different language to some people. But if you're going up against a team that has 6 offensive linemen, 2 tight ends, and 2 running backs, and you're out there with 5 defensive backs, skinnier, lighter guys, plus linebackers that are smaller and lighter in general, right? Like Marquise Bell and Damone Clark, you are going to get reamed. And I don't know if Dan Quinn can do anything about that shit. Do we have the players to be able to do that shit? You know, that's one of the reasons why he wanted Darius Leonard. Because he was a bigger guy that can go in there and stop the run. He's a bigger guy that's not going to get shoved and pushed around when you have to go too high safety. So, that, again, the injuries kind of had to dictate Dan Quinn's scheme, but he didn't adjust to this. He could have adjusted with Micah. He could have adjusted by just taking a little bit of a risk and bringing guys up and maybe helping more in run support, but he did not. He left us in nickel most of the time, and baby, that's worked a lot of the year. This year, it has worked a lot. Look, they pounded the rock on us because they were running out there with bigger personnel, and we weren't able to handle it with our personnel, with our team. The Cowboys' run defense, again, a key to our problem is that we played nickel, which is, again, 5 defensive backs, with 2 undersized linebackers against Buffalo's heavy personnel. The 2 running backs, the 2 tight ends, that killed us. That's what really led them to just constantly run all over us. Plus, like I said, they threw in the extra lineman, and we didn't really answer that. We didn't answer with anything on that. That is on Dan Quinn. That stuff that we allowed yesterday, again, the Cowboys are too good against the pass and too competent enough. They usually are competent enough against the run to be able to handle this kind of, a heavier personnel against our lighter secondary. But this week against the Bills, they just fucked us right up the you-know-what. James Cook carried the ball 25 times. He averaged over 7 yards per carry overall against the Cowboys on Sunday. He became the first player in the NFL to average at least 7 yards per carry and at least 25 touches in over 2 years. You know the last player to do it? Another Cook. Dalvin Cook. Now, there's a play that the Bills ran on against us, guys. They ran 22 personnel. Again, 22 personnel. You know what 22 personnel is? I just said it. I'm just testing you. It's 22 is...
Obviously, we have the 2 tight ends, 2 backs.
Yep. So you have 2 right ends. Yeah, that's all we need to know. 2 tight ends and 2 running backs. When they ran 22 personnel, the Cowboys were in a dime defense sometimes. That means 6 defensive backs or more. Guys, that, in that line, and those times when we played them with 6 defensive backs and they were in 22 personnel, the Buffalo 11 guys on the field weighed a total of 2,983 pounds. And the Cowboy 11 guys, 2,593 pounds. That's a difference of 390 pounds on that play particularly. On multiple plays we were in dime and they were in 22 personnel. That equals to 35 pounds per player. Difference. They outweighed us, I average 35 pounds per player. When we had our 6 defensive backs in the game and they had 2 tight ends and 2 running backs. You guys feel me on this? This is where we got gashed. All right? And given the game script, the way things went, it would have been wise for Dan Quinn to adjust and play with the heavier box and try to neutralize Buffalo's running game. We were ready for Josh Allen, but we were not ready for James Cook. And I said we got ready for both of these guys. It's easy to see that Dan Quinn's plan, and I liked some of it, was to be able to, a focal point was to slow down the Josh Allen portion of the run game. But we never really focused on
we never were
the James Cook portion.
Never got to that point.
Multiple times throughout the game, the threat of Josh Allen pulling a zone or power read pulled 2 Cowboy defenders out of the run fit. So it gave the Bills even bigger holes The Cowboys were following Josh Allen, and it opened up those holes even bigger. They're already there because we were watching Josh Allen so much. Wow. It really exposes a lot of things from the tackling to the coaching here. By the way, I just saw it in a hit, and he's re-upped. Zach Luna back to 100 points in first place on the overall board with another Sean Lee $50 holler in the house.
Just re-up.
He re-upped. He reread. Much love to Zach Luna in first place. What did the man say?
Huge shout out to you, Zach. I think he said, "Go Cowboys."
It looks like Dallas
Always
Cowboys
go
for life to me.
Woo.
Yeah. DC for L. So much love to Zach Luna. Appreciate you, brother. And he's to have a little mini takeover here from ZL in the place to be. So you guys feeling me here? I hope everyone understands me. What I'm saying here about this run defense, it's exposure left and right. But again, a lot of it has to do with Jonathan Hankins and Malik Hooker not being there. Another thing, maybe Dan Quinn should have adjusted. He fucked up there. Players missed tackles. That's not Dan Quinn. Some of it could be, but that is, again, when you're outweighed by 35 pounds per player on some plays, I can't expect, an offensive lineman, the sixth offensive lineman on the field, to be able to I don't expect, Stephon Gilmore to get through him.
Exactly.
That's the problem when you have too many defensive backs, Dan Quinn, and he knows, but he fucked up. He thought he could stick it through this game, and I don't know when he felt that it was too much. I don't know where it was in the game, but my goodness, you saw this almost all game long, and there was no adjustment. That's very disappointing from Dan Quinn. Very disappointing on that. So when we were following Josh Allen, when he would RPO it, and it would leave, we would bring two guys out of the defensive line, would pull and follow Josh Allen and leaving their gap open. This happened multiple times. That's on the player, but it's also the scheme from Dan Quinn. Said, watch Josh Allen. And we, forgot about James Cook. I didn't. I even said all week, it wasn't about Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen and all that. It was about James Cook. Go back and watch it. It's all recorded. So, I'm getting hyped here. I'm getting hyper and hyped here, but I'll stop for a second. I got to take a break. Hit up a couple comments maybe. And kind of relating to the defense and into special teams as we get to finish up with the offense. I know you got some guys that spoke.
Yes.
But penalties were big too in this. I'll get to that later. You're going to get to the comments in the chat and the comments by our defensive players after the hit up in the comment section.
Of course. And Justin D, take it easy. Lost in translation saying they beat us by the pound.
Yeah. 35 pounds per player on some plays.
That's... Try taking that to the deli. Cap52 said, MCF only repeats what I've been saying for years. What helps is the offense scoring to force opponents to throw.
It goes both ways. Yeah, I agree with you on that, but the defense got to stop them too. Defense, the first drive, it was 0-0, and the Cowboys allowed a touchdown.
Pioneer throwing out there, it's because we don't have linebackers. Thanks, Jerry.
Well, we have linebackers, but there's certain type of linebackers, and that's been a fear from mine the whole year. But the stats shown differently, so we hung in with that, and we didn't make a bigger deal. So someone like Darius, Shaq, Leonard.
The time to make the move, to make an additional move, was when LVU went down. That's the reality there. The Cowboys, I don't think, maybe padded enough depth at that position.
You know what their move was?
In a weird way, I know Rashaan Evans was the move.
The move with the Cowboys is Rashaan Evans to go on the practice squad. Now, that doesn't equal to success.
No, and I think, again, we're suffering from success in the sense that Marquise Bell was doing a good job, and so the Cowboys, I think part of that is also why they felt comfortable not adding to the more depth. But, as you see, and as we've known, Marquise Bell for a linebacker is undersized. Yep. He doesn't have the same size or power, so in certain situations,
he's originally a safety, yeah.
It does kind of hurt us, even though he has, and that's not even to take away from the fact that he has been doing a great job. He's not the problem. He's just part of the problem when we're talking about how to scheme our players properly. Dan Quinn failed to scheme our players properly and tried to pretend like Hankins was still out there, like Marquise Bell was somehow going to I don't know, gain 30 pounds in 30 minutes or something. You get my point?
I do.
It just, something about that disconnect there is still the part that's so baffling to me, considering we're a week. It feels like 17,000 at this point. Like, what the heck? Especially from Dan Quinn himself. Like, I don't know. I guess maybe our expectations were too high in that regard, but I don't think they should be. I mean, I don't think that we can really call those expectations too high, is what I'm saying.
I think a lot of the expectations had to be checked because of the loss. We didn't know about Malik Hooker till the last second, and of not just Malik Hooker, but of course Jonathan Hankins. That's a bigger, like Cab said, they want to sacrifice the pass, so we give up the run. But in this game, we gave up all the run. They didn't even care about throwing the ball. And so I know he says you got to keep the offense scoring points, but I'm gonna talk about the offense last. Don't worry, that's coming too. They had issues, but you can't just say, "Hey, offense, go again." Expect it to be rainy and windy. You can't just say, "Okay, this game we're just gonna have the offense score 40 points in the snow." You got to also, the defense got to play, and they got to stop the run, and that's one thing we didn't do. Dan Quinn's fault, the players' fault, tackling, scheme. It was everything bad on defense when it came to the run stop in this game. That's a fact. Plus, undisciplined penalties. You guys said in the chat, too. I said in the title. That's next from me. But I don't know if there's any quick other comments because you got to talk about the defensive players.
Yeah, let me see. Captain 2 also throwing out there. I guarantee if Clark and Evans played, their run game would have been at least slowed down.
Clark and Evans. Oh, you mean instead of Marquise Bell?
Yeah.
Marquise Bell.
Like if they played the run game specifically,
right.
Like if they were actually
brought in there for the run.
There, yeah.
Well, Damone Clark's out there for both, for run and pass. But Marquise Bell's a coverage linebacker. He's the best coverage linebacker in the league, but the Bills barely threw. So you see how they stopped Micah.
Just wants to know Marquise Bell's actual position is strong safety, right?
Yeah, it's strong safety, not free safety. Not that he could never be the single high guy. He's a hitter down below, like a strong safety, like Cam Chancellor type. Think of that. That could play linebacker hybrid.
I'm guessing that's why he wanted to know if it was strong safety specifically. So
well, again, I want to hit up because we got a little more to go still. Not a lot to go, a little more to go, but we still got quick penalty and special team section, and then the offense as we wind this up here on a long night, a long goddamn 24 hours from this loss. We're gonna close the book tonight on this thing though, and we got to focus on the Dolphins starting tomorrow. I gave you a little preview earlier tonight about the Dolphins, but anyways, baby, who spoke on defense? Because we need not just Dan Quinn's words on this shit. We need to hear what Micah and the rest had to say about this performance. It was not a good performance. I know today Micah, I don't know if he's the first one you're going to speak on, but
yes, it is.
There we go. We got Micah up on the screen, but Micah Parsons today on his the Bleacher Report podcast that he has. He said that these former players in the NFL want the Cowboys to fail, want players to fail to then criticize. I don't know if I agree with look, Micah should just shut the fuck up, be honest. I wish he didn't do a podcast. But he can do whatever he wants. He's come off stupid in about half of these podcasts. So half of them he's great, but half of them he comes off a little bit naive.
Sometimes it is better to not see how the sausage is made.
Exactly. Just shut up, Micah. But anyways, after the game he did speak on things. What did he say?
It's super deflating. I think that changed the whole momentum of the game, and he's talking about the penalties specifically. It changed the course of the game. It forced our offense to be in certain situations, not letting them get into their full game plan, things like that. Those crucial penalties really hurt. Time and time again, we come on the road and we face these crucial penalties and we just can't overcome it. That's something we got to look at.
Exactly. That is no question. DeMarcus Lawrence, Sam Williams, Jaron Kearse. 3 major penalties that really broke the game open for them. Yeah,
adding in there, Micah Parsons said, honestly, it's just unacceptable at this point. There's no excuse for it. It's mind-boggling. I don't understand why we're not playing well and why we're not coming together on the road. It's just super frustrating.
It echoes everybody's thoughts here.
Yeah, you might
every
hear
Cowboy
the word
fan.
Frustrating several times.
Start drinking when you hear the word frustrating.
So,
motion.
And, it's all good. Micah Parsons also added in there, quote, Hankins is important, but I think it was everyone across the board. I don't think it was one individual or one particular thing. I think it was a group effort.
I agree. It was a group effort, but also that group includes Dan Quinn, and that group also includes the loss of Malik Hooker and Jonathan Hankins. So,
So, and, outside of that, unfortunately, obviously Cook cooked a little bit.
Yeah, James
more
Cook
than we expected.
was cooking.
Even Michael Parsons had to say, I just thought he did a great job of being patient. He was explosive, making people miss. He's been a good back all year. He did make a lot of great things tonight.
Yeah, we know. And I knew that before they did, obviously. We've been talking about it for a week straight here on My Cowboys Family.
So, and again, Micah Parsons is just as bewildered, I think, as most of us are when it comes to the way that we look on the road, saying it's unacceptable.
Hey, Ricardo Green, the second.
Summing it up.
Welcome to the family. You sure it's not a repeat? I'm just making sure.
Yeah, it's unacceptable at this point. There's no excuse for it. It's mind-boggling. I don't understand why we're not coming together on the road.
Yeah.
It's something we have to look at and get better at because we're back on the road next week.
Yeah, against the Dolphins.
So, and I know it sounds very similar to what he said about the run, but no, that was a completely different quote.
Yeah, no, he's really, again, he's one
Lots
track.
of things are unacceptable and frustrating right now for Micah Parsons. So, he said it. We've got to get better on the road, and we've got to be road warriors throughout the playoffs now because of this.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter unless we get better on the road.
And the good thing,
why he's expressing his frustration about that in particular, obviously.
And the good thing is, I guess the Eagles lost today, so that helped us a little bit. But I hate relying on other teams, their losses for us to
No, but
to
we
do
can
well.
point out how that goes.
His view probably is a little changed from that now.
Yeah, I'm cracking up a little bit here. Ricardo Green
In the house, brand new family member,
Yeah.
dropping a $2 holler, his first ever here. What did he say?
We support you against Miami.
Who's that?
He's a Buffalo fan, so you know what? I respect the hustle.
Yeah. Hey, listen.
'Cause
Congrats to you guys. You guys,
like you said, you're not out. You still have to do what you got to do, but
Yeah.
you're still. It's kind of like us.
exactly. And listen, the point here is the Bills handed us our asses. I said James Cook is the biggest weapon, and they utilized him and kicked our ass. That's it. They'll say we killed ourselves in some ways, but they took advantage of that. That's what good teams do. Congrats to Ricardo Green and his Bills. One day we'll beat you in the Super Bowl again. Don't worry. We're 2-0 in the Super Bowl. That's really the one that matters, right? Much love, Ricardo, and go Cowboys. Now, what else was said out there? Was it Micah or others?
That was pretty much it from Micah Parsons, and the only other person who spoke defensively was Stephon Gilmore, who really just kind of echoed a lot of the things that Micah said by adding in there. We weren't physical enough. They were more physical than we were today.
That, again, is one of the biggest issues for the Cowboys in this game, and just really in their entire lives. In the last 3-4 years, we keep losing the teams that are just more physical, that impose their will on us. That's the kind of stuff that you're gonna lose every single time, sometime in the season, in the postseason. You're gonna lose eventually when you get out physicaled by your opponent. It's just gonna happen. You get worn down. Micah's right. Stephon Gilmore's right. And listen, Dan Quinn also right with the missed tackles, but it's a group fuck up here, plain and simple.
Yep.
So is that it from the defensive side of things?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so now penalties. You heard Micah talk about the penalties.
Yeah.
Listen to this.
And his frustration.
Oh, that to me is one of the most frustrating, because even if we had done some of these things, Dak has an off game. We have some issues here, a little issue there, some injuries. Right? All right, we can overcome that. But the penalties, my fucking God, in the first half. The dumb fucking... Again, a lot of Cowboy fans are going to bitch and say, the refs are fucking cheating. Fuck the refs. It ain't the refs. We're the ones fucking up. Yes, they've been blind the whole year on us.
Exactly.
Our whole fucking lives, they've been blind to the Cowboys and never throw the flag on holding against Micah, throw the flag on any little thing, and we do. I don't care about that,
And Jay
though.
Smiles said it. I thought we would lose, but it's more how we lost.
Yeah.
Right?
We got our asses handed to us.
The
Bills.
Smodius throwing out there. I remember you saying that about Cook, MCF.
Yeah.
By the way, Mike Ardan said Micah Parsons Confessions podcast, right?
Yeah,
Jason
Bleacher
from Much
Report.
Love said, we'll bounce back and get to our winning ways. Snug X throwing out there, it's week 15, we're still running into the kicker. The Cowboys need to get their shit together.
Thank you.
We need to stop flip-flopping on our standard of play and just put it together already.
Snug is speaking exactly what I'm going to speak on now. The dumb penalties. Listen, DeMarcus Lawrence literally shoved, obviously didn't have to shove him, but he shoved Josh Allen to the ground on a third down. That would have been 3-0. It became 7-0 after that penalty.
Yeah, they scored on that.
Yep. Then the special teams fuck up. Sam Williams roughing the kicker led to that. Listen, guys, that unfortunate roughing the punter play by Sam Williams kept their drive. We stopped them. We stopped them on the drive before that on third down.
Exactly.
We gave them a chance to
In a
get 4 new
big
plays.
way.
We just gave them 4 new plays there, and they used it to get
They're
another
about to get some
touchdown.
nice field position, too.
Yeah, and now they got the ball back. They went down the field. We had other mistakes on defense, and they basically ran touchdown. That's basically what happened, guys. Now, I want to go back to the Sam Williams penalty real quick. Special teams coach John Fossil got ripped a new asshole out there by Mike McCarthy for that block punt miss. It was a block punt call by John Fossil. So John Fossil, let's throw John Fossil. I have the ref up here. They didn't fuck up. We fucked up. So, John Fossil, he loves to get aggressive when it comes to the way he, fake stuff here, onsides here, and go for the blocks. A lot of times before a half or something I get nervous when he goes all, it pays off sometimes, but man, I get nervous when he goes all out and they only need like 4 yards for a first. That's 4th and 4, and we're going to try to block every punt. So he made the call on the punt block there. That resulted in that roughing the kicker penalty by Sam Williams. It was a one-man block call. So what happened was it was a block punt, but it was, listen, here's the thing. The Cowboys were set up to return in a punt return. When you're set up in punt return, you don't have any guys there expecting a blocked punt. The whole special teams scheme is not set up for a blocked punt. But Fossil switched it up. Fossil said, Sam, this is you. You're going to go at this. We're going to switch it up. A little wrinkle in here. And he kind of threw it in there at the last second. The Cowboys had a punt return on. Fossil switched it to a one-man punt block, which is Sam Williams. And Fossil never let McCarthy know that he was making that call.
Ouch.
That's why McCarthy, you saw him on the sideline eating him out. No, I shouldn't say that.
Oh.
Chewing him out. How about that? Spitting him out.
Damn.
Yeah, eating him out would be a whole different story. But Fossil didn't let him know he was making the call. And then McCarthy was basically yelling at him, telling him that it was not Fossil's call to make on that scenario. You can't just sneak in that switch.
You head coach type of shit.
Basically. So that is an issue right there that could be festering later on in the offseason or something. But John Fossil made the move on his own. And let me say one thing about that, baby. To me, the call wasn't the issue. Because it was a good call by Fossil. Yep, McCarthy was pissed that it was done behind his back. And that's a whole different story. But to me, it was the fact that Sam Williams fucking blew it. He had a punt. All he had to do, guys, is run. He could have run into the kicker. He could have just tackled the kicker. If he tackled the punter, it would have been fine. It would have been a punt block. As long as you hit that ball before you hit the kicker, the punter, that you're good. He shied away from the punt. He braced for the hit. What the fuck is that? So
exactly, you can't do that or play around like that. And you kind of brought this up too as we were kind of just chatting behind the scenes too. But if you are going to do something like that, Bones, out of all the people that you could choose to have to make that attempt, it had to be Sam Williams
particularly. And why is that? Well, here's the thing. First of all, Mike McCarthy, he wasn't involved in that, but he has more important things to worry about than John Fossil switching up a play. So I'm actually on Fossil's side on that little switcheroo. I'm against who Fossil used.
And that's kind of the point I was trying to make. Yeah. Like, again, this is not a knock to the play chosen itself. It's just, man, you could have picked quite a few other people there that maybe would have done a little bit better.
Sam Williams has great speed, size, athleticism is fantastic, but he's not disciplined. He's not a disciplined player yet. Maybe he'll never be.
Clearly.
But the move that watch the replay, guys. Watch it. I know it hurts, but watch the replay. Watch what Sam Williams did. It was brilliant. The long snapper, when he put his head down and looked at the punter before the snapping it, Sam Williams went from the punter's left side and shifted to the right side. So the long snapper never knew Sam Williams switched from his left to his right side. He never looked back up. He looked down. Sam Williams switched sides. He snapped the ball, and the long snapper went blocking left and completely whiffed on Sam Williams and that block. He didn't expect that to happen because the Cowboys were back in punt return. It was a brilliant move, I would say, by athletic move by Sam Williams and smart to switch up. I was taught by Bones, so I give him credit. But at the snap, the long snapper, he blocked air, and Sam Williams ran right through him. Had no idea that Sam Williams had switched from his left to his right. But the problem is you trusted an undisciplined player. Has all the skills. He's maybe the only guy who could have done that block. But he's undisciplined. You can't trust him. You trusted an undisciplined player to be disciplined. in a very important portion of the game. There is no question that he has the athleticism to do these kind of things, Sam Williams.
Exactly.
But no player has been more listen, when it comes to undisciplined penalties this year, the number one guy in the league is Sam Williams. So you see how it's a complete team fucking failure. Coaches, Dan Quinn, McCarthy, even Fossil, the players missing tackles, undisciplined, and we'll talk about the offense in a minute. Don't worry. Exactly. You see what I'm saying, guys?
Part of the scheme is not just choosing the right play; it's choosing the right personnel for that play. Yeah, we failed to do so, and then on top of that, obviously, it's kind of that double-edged sword, because I think it's very easy to point out the player execution side of things. Easy to see Sam Williams fucking up. Easy to see a receiver dropping a pass or somebody missing a tackle or whatever. Harder to see the scheme contributing to those errors.
And the choices that these coaches use for some of their players to do some of the work they got to do here, right? So that's where the Fossil issue comes up for me. Now, that's the Sam Williams penalty. They had the J-Ron Curse penalty, too. Remember that one? So they were driving. It was third down. We stopped them. Incompletion. And J-Ron Curse's unnecessary roughness. That was a helmet-to-helmet. It was a tap. It should not have been a penalty. They called it. And that, of course, put him like first and goal. And it made the game 21-3. Mm-hmm. So those three penalties, guys, led to 18 bonus points out of the 21 in the first half for the Bills. What do you call it? J-Ron Curse. I know you said something about J-Ron Curse. He was like getting doxxed or something, right?
Yeah, so, and this is just super random. Some random shit talker on Twitter or whatever, just like saying, oh, J-Ron Curse, blah, 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 you suck or whatever. And then somebody underneath that thread on Twitter literally posted this man's like whole address on the internet. So Curse said, play games and get your fuck ass lit up. Y'all got the wrong one.
Oh, so J-Ron Curse not having a good day today for sure. And listen,
that's some low down shit, I have to admit.
That penalty though that happened, yeah, I agree. It's bullshit to dox anyone for any reason. But J-Ron Curse, guys, he retweeted the penalty that should not have been called a penalty that he was called for unnecessary roughness, helmet to helmet, and he said, "quote I didn't lower my head, I didn't lower my shoulder, I didn't make contact with the crown of my helmet. What am I supposed to do?" And he added that he said at NFL officiating. Of course, no response, but he's right. He's 100% right.
Even in the game, like man, it feels like he's getting punished just for playing regular football. I'm not sure what he was supposed to do or how he was supposed to tackle him any differently than he did in that moment.
Yeah,
I would like to see some kind of evidence or something regarding that, but obviously no one's going to look too much into it.
And you know what else is going to kill you too, baby? This is going to hurt you. It's going to hurt everybody listening right now. I'm sorry I got to do this to everybody, but baby, we're moving from penalties to coaching on offense. And this is Mike McCarthy time. And let me just say why I'm putting Mike McCarthy on this side of things. When it comes to a penalty that is a defensive penalty, right? A defensive issue. Why am I including Mike McCarthy on defense? He's not. It's all Dan Quinn, right? Not really. Let me explain, guys. Mike McCarthy and that J-Ron Curse penalty, that play would have never happened. Do you remember why? Because when it was 14-3, and it was 14-3. What happened on that drive before that J-Ron Curse penalty? Do you know what happened in that drive? The Cowboys missed the biggest opportunity of the game to challenge that second quarter fumble by receiver Stephon Diggs.
I mean, I try not to think about it too long,
well,
just because
that happened a couple plays before J-Ron Curse's penalty. That would have been our ball. No J-Ron Curse penalty would have even happened, right?
True.
If only Mike McCarthy would have thrown the challenge flag, like everybody, his own players, everybody but the upstairs reviewing group, were the only ones that didn't call him to say, hey, throw the challenge flag. Guys, that fumble was an obvious fumble. After we saw the replay once, in between the play there, they rushed at the Bills because they knew there was something going on. But McCarthy had a challenge flag ready to throw. I don't know if I guess he didn't say anything about that. I think he did say something about that in the quotes, but
yeah, basically, it wasn't even a quote directly. It was just a comment about it. But basically, yeah, he did not throw the flag because he was waiting for the official call from the upstairs kind of refs and stuff like that, and that the Bills got the play off too quickly for him to do anything about it.
So that's the thing. He had the challenge flag ready. He was going to throw it. But he said that the Bills snapped the ball too fast before the Cowboy team officials could review the play upstairs and make the recommendation to him to throw the challenge flag or not. He said that the timing disrupted the standard procedure for that kind of situation, which means the Bills running up to the line of scrimmage quickly had the Cowboy review team upstairs had them off their mark there, and that cost the Cowboys, forget the penalty to J-Ron Curse, which eventually led to a touchdown. That play right there by Mike McCarthy and his poor coaching, 14-3. We're still in it. We got the ball back 14-3. We can make it 14-10. It changes the game. McCarthy's post-game admission about that Stephon Diggs fumble and the non-challenge is what is really the coaching issue on this team. When you look at it, McCarthy should not have needed the stadium to show a replay to see this, guys. This is the NFL. Nothing is handed to any team in a game this big. The Bills rush to the line of scrimmage. McCarthy knows at that point you got to be on your toes. If the other team is running, you know they're hiding something, right? The momentum would have swung if we had just challenged that play. But whether it was a bang-bang, quick play by the Bills or not, McCarthy admitted to having the challenge flag in the hand and being ready to go. Losing the challenge would have been worth the risk. It would have been a timeout used. That's it. Hold on a second because we got the man Ricardo Green dropping that $10 holler here. We're moving up the board, representing, I guess, Bills Mafia over there.
Got us.
What did the man say?
Love this room. I am now a Micah Parsons fan after his video on the game. That being said, the fumble wouldn't have saved you. The Cowboys defense was looking for the reckless Josh Allen.
I agree with that comment to an extent. It would have changed the game. We could have maybe made it 14-10. So I think the complexion and the control you had of the game would have been different. But in the end, you would have just kept running the ball with James Cook. And we were looking for Josh Allen. Exactly. So in the end, yeah, it would have delayed the inevitable. We would have lost a closer, tougher game. But all I'm trying to say is whether we lose or win or lose, a mistake like this is why the coaches get criticized by us on our team.
And like I said, I understand on one hand why McCarthy, obviously was waiting for the call from the upstairs refs or whatever. But like I said, at some point or another, you have to take certain chances. And at least in this particular moment, when there's around less than 4.5 minutes, closer to 4 minutes left.
In the half, yeah.
Before halftime, too. That's the other thing. If it was the end of the first quarter, I could maybe understand why McCarthy was a little bit more.
Yeah, we had all our timeouts
or whatever, but we had all our timeouts and the real
2-minute warning.
What was the score? What score?
14-3.
They were already up.
They were driving
by way too goddamn much.
They were driving. They were gonna a couple plays later penalty and they're on the goal line. So
exactly.
Yeah,
to me, it's not just like one simple, straightforward fact, right? It's easy. Yeah. But there's a multitude of factors on why they should have just tried to challenge it.
Yes, it's worth the risk. And baby, I got to give you credit because in the game yesterday, you said just throw the challenge flag. You almost said it. You were coaching, you would have made the better choice than McCarthy. You would have just thrown it without thinking about it at that moment. It was worth risk versus reward. It's worth it there. And of course, we would have won it. We would have had the ball at midfield. And now could have changed the game. I'm not saying we would have won the game, so I agree with Ricardo, but we would have changed the game.
The only way you win the game is by winning the game, but you can't deny that getting a takeover, a turnover, getting a turnover, stopping the momentum of the Bills who were driving on us getting solid field position,
when it's that
possibly
close,
turning the game from what ended up being 21-3 to possibly maybe instead 14-10, That's a huge difference maker.
And we went at end of the half that way, right? They got another chance. I'm saying you end the half at either 14 to, it could be 14-6, it could be 14-10. But now you're in the game and you get the ball second half. You're scored down instead of 21-3, and you're down by 3.5 scores or something, whatever it is, 2.5 scores. So, anyways, the point here is, again, whether it's a quick play or not, you have the flag in your hand. There's 4 minutes and change to go, and you need the momentum swing. You roll the dice on that. And again, the Cowboys at that moment, probably a lot of you guys said out there, call a timeout first. No, if you're gonna call a timeout, throw the flag. It's the same thing as a timeout. You're just using the timeout I know you call the timeout to then review the play, but then you got to fucking use another challenge there. You know what I mean? So, again, I guess the worst case is you can challenge it, and then, you can call timeout, and you have to basically you have to risk a second timeout, but you should win it, right? So that would have been the second best thing, is to call timeout. The best thing would have been throw the goddamn flag. But either way, something had to be done there. And we did neither. And that cost us, guys. So when he was trying to explain the decision, he was on the fence about throwing the flag. To me, if you're on the fence, you call the timeout at the very least. If you're not sure and you're not hearing from above and call timeout at the very least with the time you said was left in the game and the way we were hanging on and they were moving down the field in the score, you gotta take a breath here. McCarthy fucked up. In trying to explain his decision, as I said, McCarthy admitted to having zero he didn't say this, but by saying what he said, he admitted to having zero situational awareness in the middle of a moment of a game like that. And maybe I don't know what you think about it, but that's unforgivable. That's an unforgivable veteran coach mistake. You cannot allow that to happen.
Yeah, like I said, that to me was, I'm flabbergasted.
Yeah.
Right? It is mind-blowing to think that your coach was basically just not paying attention, not focused, not I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It just
he wasn't ready. He didn't seem ready.
Whatever language you want to use there. The point is that to drop the ball on a moment and some situational football like that, I'm sorry, that's not just ridiculous. It's absolute bullshit.
Yeah, you're a head coach. You're a veteran. You've won a Super Bowl. You gotta know better than that, McCarthy. You just fucked up, and all these little fuck ups cost us, right?
Especially considering that he had just finished basically ripping bones a new one for
trying to make a play.
Exactly. So
listen, in the end, this is where it's. That's why I said, guys, it's on Quinn, it's on McCarthy, it's on Bones, it's on Sam Williams, it's on the defense, it's on the tackling, it's on the on every single level other than Brandon Aubrey. And when we talk about the offense, baby, let's get to it. Because this is the end of it here. The offense. I do want to hear some other comments, though, about this situation by the family. If there's any thoughts in there real quick, any left, we'll just go through a couple of them.
Pioneer said, that's the consequence of a hard-headed coach, offensive coordinator.
Boom. That's one of the consequences. I can't. That's 100% right.
Asmodeus said, what a fustercluck. Agree.
I'll say a few clusterfuck.
Cat 52 said, I wonder if the players being sick affected their performance. We know there's still a handful of players who are either still just recovering from some illnesses or just getting over them or maybe just getting them now.
But Gilmore played really good and he just came off of his sickness, but Cooks wasn't there.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about the offense in a minute.
I think last week we were much more impacted by illnesses and things like that. But to be fair, yes.
It could make a difference.
I'm going to assume that the player, too, who maybe were feeling a bit under the weather, feeling a little sick, or probably feeling even more sick now for different reasons.
I'm feeling sick. That's for goddamn sure.
So, let me see. SnugX said, if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, go out there and take some shit.
McCarthy, that's on you, McCarthy. Why didn't you do it?
Aztec Aguilar 4 said, in the end, we beat ourselves yet again.
I was going to say, he said beat ourselves, I would say again. But he beat me to it.
Regardless of what the score was yesterday, the dumb penalties, not adjusting at halftime, our O-line getting hurt, or not protecting our quarterback.
And now, that's going to lead me right now to Dak Prescott and the We talked about the offensive issues with coaching and McCarthy, the motion, the scheme. Take another shot. I said motion. So again, guys, that these are everything but the players on offense we discussed. Let's finish it up strong. Dak Prescott against the Bills yesterday threw the ball 34 times. Only completed 21 of those. Not horrible, but not great. 62% completion percentage for only 134 yards. That's like 50 less than the Panthers, who have a better defense than the Bills. Dak also threw that one interception. Yeah, a couple bounced off of the Bills' hands. But you know what? I see Mahomes throw almost 4 interceptions. So, Mark, that don't work here with me. Almost don't matter. Like SnugX said, butts and nuts or whatever, ifs and whatever he said. So anyways, the point is, Dak threw the one pick, which was the game was already over. To me, there was no way we were coming back in that game with the way that the game had played out for 3.5 quarters. He also had 4 runs for Dak for a total of 27 yards, which he did help us out there a lot. Wish we had used more of that. But Dak, overall in this game, analytically speaking, had his second lowest PFF grade of his career. Since 2016.
Again, yeah.
You know the worst performance of his career was in his rookie season against the Giants. We lost 10-7. The second game, it was in December. It was the second game we played the Giants. The second loss of the year. Both losses were to the Giants. We lost 10-7. And Dak could, that's the only game he actually did analytically worse than this game yesterday against the Buffalo Bills.
Again, like I said, I know I kept joking about it during the stream and stuff, but it really does feel like we hopped into our little time machine and went back in time. Not just, I guess, earlier into the season. We went all the way back to Dak's rookie year.
Yeah. Went way back.
Just saying.
So, I will say this, though. Again, Dak did not have a good game. He missed some guys. He threw that one pick. He had some other passes that were not the best throws. Could have placed them better. He didn't have a good game. But the pick is the least of my issues in this situation. To me, he was very jittery in the pocket. Very nervous in the pocket. Is that some of that TJ Bass being there instead of Zach Martin? Possibly.
I mean, it looked like he was a little jittery even pre-Zach Martin injury, but it definitely got worse after the Zach Martin injury. So
he got jitterier, I guess, there, right? So, look, the point is, being so skittish in the pocket, he was actually primarily the one at fault for a couple of the pressures that the offensive line allowed. And also for probably about, I'll say 1 or 2 of those sacks that he took, that was partially because of Dak Prescott. If not fully because of Dak Prescott. So he had a bad game, just an off game this one here. But when you look, again, I don't even care if he wins MVP. But if you look at the MVP leaders right now, Brock Purdy is now number 1. And expected currently to win it. At negative 190 to 1, which means he's, like the way Micah is expected, Purdy's expected to win the MVP. Lamar Jackson is tied for second with Dak Prescott. They're both at 450 to 1 odds right now. Jalen Hurts has dropped to 1,100 to 1 odds. And probably after this game, a lot lower. A lot worse odds. McCaffrey, 1,200 to 1. Josh Allen up to 1,400 to 1 odds. Mahomes down at 20. He's at 2,200 to 1 odds. Tyreek Hill, Tua. Those are the 2 guys we play this week. They're both at 2,500 to 1 odds. So Dak is still in the middle of this MVP talk and all that great shit, but he didn't play like that yesterday. And if he has any more games like this, Dak is out, 100% out, and we don't have to hear about MVP talk anymore. And that's why I said if he's not in the MVP talk, then we're out of the NFC East running. Keep that in mind, my friends. If you want Dak to fail, you want the Cowboys to fail. Keep that in mind. And Dak had a bad game, but it was not all on him. And I told you a lot of the scheme, a lot of the coaching. And then there's also other things. Like, all right, how do we run against this team? We ran the ball. Okay, you got Tony Pollard. Had 11 carries for 52 yards. And a 4.7 yards per carry. Very good numbers for him, but only 11 carries this game because we had to throw the ball. Dak was the second most yards and carries. He had 4 carries for 27 yards. He averaged 6.8 yards per carry. Rico Dowdle, 3 carries for 4 yards. That's it for Rico. 1.3 yards per carry. Hunter Lipke had 1 carry for a first down for 3 yards. And CeeDee Lamb had that one quick, jet sweep carry for 3 yards and, of course, scoring that touchdown late. So when you look at this team, the 4 highest graded Cowboy players on offense against Buffalo, Tyler Biadasz was number 1. Tony Pollard right here on your screen, number 2. Hunter Lipke with 1 carry for 3 yards was number 3. And Tyron Smith, number 4 on this offense, guys. When you look at the lowest PFF analytical ratings, Zach Martin, believe it or not, only with a couple of snaps, had a penalty against him. He was one of the worst on our list, on our team on offense yesterday. Luke Schoonmaker, also on this list. And I got to say his name again, unfortunately. On this list, one of our 3 worst offensive analytical players of this game, Dak Prescott, who had his second worst game in his career, analytically speaking. So what did Dak say, baby, when it comes to the post-game comments? Before I get to the receivers, and we call it a night here on MCF.
Dak said it's a huge difference as far as the way that we're playing, obviously, like on the road and at home. Really? That's what this next week of preparation and honestly, these next couple of weeks are about. Figuring out what that difference is and trying to close that gap. We can't be those 2 different teams. It's about finding those answers. We've got some great problem solvers. We'll get the answers we're looking for, and we'll close that gap.
I hope so, Dak. We need to close that gap, or we're fucked on the road.
Also, definitely like the biggest beating for Dak, right? So sacked 3 times, hit 7. Also hit several times after the whistle was blown.
Some late hits on those.
He
got penalties
so
drawn.
He insisted he's good to go, saying, "I feel great. No impact on how I played today. I wish I could say that they did." So again, he's not even using that to make excuses for himself or anything. The only good thing is obviously we clinched a playoff spot, but Dak said it. He's backing up what we had been hearing and what we heard, but they did not know until after the game, right? Dak said, "I didn't know that at all. I didn't pay attention to it. I don't care, to be honest."
Just got to win. If we win, we're going to be in. That's what he's thinking. That's the way it should have been.
So, and then, like I said, on one hand I get it, the other hand I don't, but it's okay. Dak also added in there, it's about going and finding those answers. We got some great problem solvers. With those problem solvers, we'll get the answers that we're looking for. But I'm hoping that, that was it from Dak, right? Yeah, sorry. Okay. Yeah, because the next part's Zach Martin.
Okay, so let's keep going. What did Zach say? He was him and Zach Martin and Dak were one of the 2 out of 3 lowest rated analytical players by PFF in this game.
So Zach Martin said, "I'm hoping that this week to treat it and get it ready to go on Sunday. I feel good about that." Remember, he got hit. His left quad, he has a contusion, a bruise, guys.
McCarthy said, expected to go this week. Expect him against the Dolphins, which is good news.
So, and the reason that he didn't come back, he said that, when I got hit deep in the quad, we went to the tent, it stiffened up, and it wasn't firing for me. A fluke thing. I'm hoping to treat it, get it ready to go on Sunday. I feel good about that.
It just sounds like Zach Martin had, it was just something that locked up too much on him to play a safe and non-re-injuring game.
Exactly.
He had to just treat it. He'll be good for the game.
I imagine if it had been a more significant game, we might have seen him trying to push through that. Maybe.
If it was a playoff game, maybe. Much love, Ricardo Green II, dropping that J-Lou $2 hollow from Bill's Mafia. What did he say?
He said, "Please, please, please beat Miami."
Stay with us, Ricardo. This whole week, we're going to tell you how we should beat Miami. And what are the ways to beat Miami? If you listened last week, you would know we talked about James Cook all week. So you know what we're talking about. You'll find out how we have to beat Miami here coming up in the next 5 days, 6 days here, right? And hopefully the Cowboys do what we say. All right, we're back. Hello? We there? Yeah.
There we go. A little blip there.
A little spectrum
behind
blip.
the scenes. But kind of rolling on, like I said, with some other kind of
other players
comments. The final comment, really, Tyler Smith saying it's definitely going to answer those questions as far as our road struggles. Saying, make us look inward at who we are and the expectations that we set for ourselves. So pretty much everyone's saying, we got to figure out why we're looking so rough out here on the road.
If the Cowboys don't, it's going to be a quick postseason. Let me put it that way. Finishing up, let me just quickly say, how did our receivers do this game? Not much today, right? Yesterday. Against the Bills, CeeDee Lamb got 10 targets. He got 7 of those catches. Of those 10 targets, he caught 7 passes for only 53 yards. And of course, ran the touchdown in. Jake Ferguson had 8 targets for 6 catches, 44 yards. Brandon Cooks had 6 targets, but only 2 catches for 10 yards. That one hurt there. Tony Pollard had 3 targets for 2 catches, only 5 yards. Rico Dowdle had 3 targets, 2 catches, 8 yards. Michael Gallup had 1 target, 1 catch. It was for 9 yards. That was it, though, from him. And Hendershot, 1 target, 1 catch for measly 5 yards. So, passing game was just nullified. The Bills did a great job. So you can say, you were talking about separation yesterday. The Cowboys, not one Cowboy receiver had an above average separation against the Bills. The league average is 2.95 yards of separation. Cooks is 2.74. Gallup 0.8. Hendershot 1.97. CeeDee Lamb only 1.79. And Ferguson 2.9. Not one guy hit 2.95 in average receiver separation. That, my friends, you don't win that way. You do not win that. You gotta. So this is not just on Dak not being able to throw, the receivers were covered. There was no separation. The scheme was not using motion. Guys, I just broke down. The wife just broke down. We broke down. Some of you guys knew this already. Some of you guys learned some new things. But these are the reasons, all of the reasons why the Cowboys failed against the Bills. Not just lost, but why we lost and how we lost. If you watch this show from start to finish, you get all the answers. They're right here. And we just went through them with you. So that's all I got to say on this fucking game. Let's close the goddamn book. Bills are AFC East, the AFC team. Let's worry about the next AFC team. How about that? The only one that matters now, the only game that matters now, and the only AFC team that matters now, right now at this moment, are the Miami Dolphins. We're done with the Bills. Can't cry over spilled milk. We got a shot. The Eagles lost tonight. Puts us right back where we're at. Hey, listen. Want to hear something funny, guys? I'm going to leave you with this for you guys that missed it in the beginning. Even if and I know the Bills fans will be mad, but even if the Cowboys lost to the Dolphins on Sunday, Christmas Eve, if the Eagles lose to the Giants, we still control. Now we take the control of destiny from their hands into our hands. And if we win and they lose, the Eagles lose to the Giants, we have to lose 2, they have to win 2 for them to win the NFC East. So, again, they could be talking a whole different story next week at this time. If our Cowboys can come through, beat the Dolphins, the Giants can, get lucky, and they're hungry to win against a beat-up Eagle losing team. It's going to be back in Philly, so we know the next 2 games are in Philly. It's going to be tough for the Giants and the Cardinals, but hey, you never know. The important thing is that the Giants beat no matter what happens in this whole scenario, you want us to win the NFC East? Even if we win all 3 games, the Eagles got to lose a game. And it preferably to the Giants will give us a bigger upper hand. They play the Giants 2 out of 3 times. So that's what it comes down to. We got to do our jobs, win our games, let the chips fall where they may. There's the breakdown, guys. I hope you enjoyed our stream tonight. Hit the like, hit subscribe, hit that notification bell. Follow us on Twitter, X, all social media, at MyCowboysFamily. Join that Discord, fun, free football, 24/7, 365. And, of course, join us every night here on YouTube for My Cowboys Family, another Cowboys chat. We do it every night of the year. We try to. We've been doing this for 6.5 years. So the new family members, the OGs or the new Gs, appreciate all the family members here with us. Whether in your membership or subscribed, appreciate all of you. Now, that's my spiel. Give the last comments, those shout-outs to everybody in the house, baby.
Of course. Thank you very much to Dirty South MVP, AF1892. We have Mike Aldana, Cab52 saying good, bad, or ugly.
Damn right. We got to talk
Cowboys.
about it. Damn right.
And yeah, AF, it is definitely humiliating. That would be very much not what we want to happen there.
AF in the house, by the way.
Of course.
Much love.
Jason Ren for much love, saying need to wake up, stop the mistackling, and stay in those gaps.
All those answers Ray Jason just said, 100% right.
Cat52 says Zach was hurt. I'm not holding anything against him.
I know.
So,
I'm not against him.
It's not like he looked like crap when he was out there. It's just,
he had a very small sample size with a very low analytical rating.
So,
it is what it is.
And thank you, Snug. I appreciate that much love. Let me see here. Lost in translation, saying we had linebackers on the edge instead of up the middle. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and no Hankins in the middle. And a rookie Mozzie is not ready for that. We found out. At least we found that out today. Fuck the Eagles, right, Cab? I agree.
Ricardo Green, too. Thanks for being here. Asmodeus, much love. Oh, no. Just trying to make sure I go back. MH. I think I shout out Pioneer already. Aztec Aguilar 4. Brandon James. I know Zach Luna, of course.
Yeah, Zach Luna in the house. I'll talk about him in a minute here. Takeover, man.
That's actually as far back as I can go, at least on my side. Mary Alvarez, much love to you as well.
Mary. In the house. Much love to Mary. So, by the way, big, huge shout-outs to people like Bobby Bottles, who's back in that silver level membership. Billy Scott with the 5 on it. They got Mr. Jason Renfro dropping that dollar holla. I know what that means. Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.
Hell yeah, much love. Jason dropping the love tonight. We had Ricardo Green II, a Bills fan, dropping some knowledge with some love tonight. Appreciate you. New family member here. Mark Hovsepian, the great Mark Hovsepian, of course, on this board. Second place, by the way, overall. But in first place is the man of the night, the drops of the night, Mr. Zach Luna, who is currently the overall leader and has 84 points also on that stream boss. So much love to Mr. Zach Luna. By the way, I got to also shout out those that are leading right now. Right now, there's one leader, and it's Mr. Is it Bobby? Bobby Bottles is the leader in the membership gifting side of things. Big shout out to him. And of course, when it comes to the Cash App side, the leader, you guys know him as Mr. David Laura, but he's Big D here in Place to Be. Appreciate you as well. He's the leader on the Cash App board. But what about the winners? Well, you see the sponsor of the week, always staying skeptical fan. Much love to him. He's also the king of the gifting membership board. So again, he's got 2 out of the 4 spots. Of course, Zach Luna currently has 84 points currently on the stream boss. And the king of that Cash App. Oh man, he went back to back like our 90s Cowboys. Mr. Stanley Smith. So he's right now a little, he's trying to go for the three-peat. You got Big D in front of you right now. But Stanley Smith, back to back like our 90s Cowboys. Much love to him, repping the Cash App King board, who also, by the way, he's got 3 out of the last 5 weeks representation there on the Cash App King. Sponsor of the week, like I said, Skeptical Fan, and also the Gifting Champion Skeptical Fan. The leaders, like I said, Big D, currently Big D. In the Cash App side, the gifting side, it's currently Bobby Bottles. And in the overall board, it's Zach Luna, who's also, of course, the stream boss. Mm-hmm. That's it for me, baby. Any last comments in the chat before we finalize this thing tonight?
Snug wants to know if you're going to be on later tonight.
I don't know. We'll see. I might be just chilling on other channels tonight. Maybe after dark. You never know. We'll see what happens, but I'm still trying to rebound from the horrible game / after party, I guess. The depression party afterwards on After Dark. But I don't know. We'll see how I feel. We'll go from there, brother. Follow me over on whoever's. I don't even know who's live, and I'll go from there. If I'm bored and I'm not too tired, and in an hour I might pop in there and drop a couple thoughts. So we'll see what happens. Much love to Snug X and everybody else in the house who's dropped the knowledge and dropped the love, and appreciate everybody. But baby, why do we drop these live streams every single day and night here on MCF? For the last 6+ years.
It's that navy blue, that silver too, and that star over everything.
Win, lose, or draw. In this game, it was a loss, but good, bad, or ugly, and it was bad and ugly in this game. No matter what, here on this channel, we rep that star over everything. 6 years and beyond here in My Cowboys Family. Never forget the number one thing here, now, and forever. As always, Go Cowboys. Let's get that 6 and beyond. Truly appreciate everybody dropping the knowledge in the chat all night long. All night. Thank you, guys. It was a tough, vomitous Monday. But now we're through it. The book is closed on the Bills. It's opening up another AFC East team. The Miami Dolphins. Tomorrow we're going to dig deep and get a first look at the Dolphins. I'm sure we'll hear from Jerry Jones. Maybe get some more injury updates. And we'll talk about that and all related to Cowboy news, info, and updates right here on My Cowboys Family. So, baby, before we can, much love to the people dropping the knowledge in the chat. Truly appreciate the people that help and support the channel on the nightly, dropping the love from above. But now it's time to clock out and drop out for the night. Relock and reload for a new show tomorrow. We went 2.5 hours tonight. It's a biggie. But hey, that's what. Sometimes you got to dig deep into things. When the Eagles lose and the Cowboys lost yesterday, we got to recap it, good, bad, or ugly. Never forget, guys, we'll be back again tomorrow, relocked and reloaded. So, baby, before we both can officially drop out of here for the night, tell everyone what we got to do first before we drop out of here.
We got to drop the beat.
Yeah, that beat's been dropped. It's a wrap here at MCF, and we appreciate all of you for joining us here for another night with Cowboy news, info, and updates. You know it here. Another Cowboys chat in the books. You had some of our recap. You had a lot of our rant. We retold it all here. Good, bad, and ugly. That's what we do. Dan Quinn part of the problem here against the Bills. McCarthy part of the problem. We got the offense, the defense, the tackling, everything. Penalties, discipline, it's on and on. We talked about it. I'm tired about it. We're closing the book right now. Here at MCF, 6 years and beyond, 7 seasons doing this live stream reaction thing. Never forget, MCF, it's about that navy blue. That silver, too, and that star of everything. Never forget the number one thing right here on My Cowboys Family. Much love to everyone in the house. Appreciate you all. Don't forget to hit that like button for the stream. Subscribe to the channel and keep it growing. Appreciate all your love and support. Make sure you hit the notification bell to all videos so you know when we're going live on the nightly. We try it on the nightly. And of course, follow us on all social media at MyCowboysFamily. Jump in the Discord. On and on and on and on and on. Have a great night, guys. Stay safe. Peace. And never, ever, ever, ever forget. Go Cowboys!